Chapter 190. Bai Songling's hands glowed with green light and transformed into two green vines that joined the battle. The blood mist on Lu Yunfei's body flickered, but she was not at a disadvantage against the four of them. The more Bai Songling fought, the more shocked she became. She did not expect Lu Yunfei to be so powerful even after being injured. She had not even started to use her blood bell and blood sword. Bai Songling thought of this and did not dare to relax anymore. She used all her strength to fight the enemy seriously. The others did the same. Lu Yunfei felt the pressure increase. She had used her charm technique to bewitch the four of them. Yi Yu had already taken the pill, Luo Tian and Juni Chen were unmoved. The only one who was affected was Bai Songling, the wood element spiritualist. It was a pity that Bai Songling woke up too early and she did not succeed. It was all those ants' fault for injuring her last night. Otherwise, how could they be her opponents? Lu Yunfei had not been injured for so many years. This time, she was injured to the extreme. In her anger, she could not care less about her injuries and immediately took out her blood bell to control it. She had to get rid of the four of them quickly to deal with Yi Jioge, who was standing by the side. She did not think that Yi Jioge was powerful the last time they fought. She did not expect Yi Jioge to be hiding his strength. She had really underestimated him. A strange ringing sound came from the blood-red bell. Bai Songling, Yi Yu, and the rest had heard of the power of the blood bell. They immediately jumped back to prevent themselves from being hit. Yi Jioge also became vigilant. He realized that Lu Yunfei's bell was not as powerful as before. It was probably because she was injured. Calling her sick and wanting her life. If he did not make a move now, when would he? Everyone, let's take her down. Yi Jioge made a prompt decision and joined the battle. The lightning snake illusionary whip in her hand whistled through the air, and streaks of purple lightning flew towards Lu Yunfei. Bai Songling's green vines soared and wrapped around Lu Yunfei. Juni Chen's abdomen trembled and let out a strange call. Dozens of rank 1 black-top snakes came to attack Lu Yunfei. Luo Tian relied on the strength of his physical body and punched towards Lu Yunfei. Lu Yunfei was already injured. Now that she was surrounded by everyone, she could not take it. A moment of carelessness, Yi Jioge's thunder snake fantasy whip hit her wrist and the blood bell flew out. She opened her mouth and spat out a red sword at Luo Tian. Unexpectedly, Xiaohong, Big Mouth, and Black Overlord, the three goo worms, were already waiting at the side. They swarmed up and swallowed the blood sword cleanly. Lu Yunfei used up all her moves and knew that she was not a match for these people. Other than some jewelry, there was a cosmos sack, and two scorpions that were hiding in her sleeves, shivering. Other than the purple treasure-seeking scorpion that was caught by Yi Jioge, there was also a scorpion the size of an infant's fist. Its carapace was light brown, and it was covered with scars from being cut by a knife. Some of the scars had already darkened, and should be old wounds. Some were still very fresh, as if they were cut recently. This brown scorpion also seemed to have a very weak personality, and it kept hiding behind the purple treasure-seeking scorpion while shivering. The purple treasure-seeking scorpion also tried its best to use its body to block it, and its long stinger stood up. It looked as if it would risk its life if anyone dared to touch it. What's going on? Yi Yu was confused. This smaller scorpion should be the wife of the treasure-seeking scorpion, and Lu Yunfei used it to control the scorpion. Juni Chen was very familiar with this kind of exotic beast, and he immediately started to explain. It turned out that the treasure-seeking scorpion was a very infatuated creature. As long as it found a mate, it would not change until death. Some unscrupulous people would torture the female scorpion in order to stimulate the treasure-seeking scorpion's ability. Looking at the scars on the female scorpion's body, it was obvious that she had been tortured by Lu Yunfei. This witch is really vicious, she won't even let a scorpion go. Yi Yu's disgust towards Lu Yunfei was obvious. When he thought about how he had been bewitched by her seductive technique, and how she had touched him, he felt extremely disgusted. TSK, any male who loves his wife is worthy of admiration. Yi Jioga said with a sigh. Then, he took out 2 spirit beast pills, and handed them to the treasure-seeking scorpion. You are a natural exotic beast. Even if I let you go, it will be difficult for you to escape the pursuit of others in the future, so I suggest that you choose a good master. Chapter 191. Although the treasure-seeking scorpion had developed some intelligence, it still didn't understand Yi Jioga's words. Because of Lu Yunfei, it hated all humans, and was disdainful of humans fawning. It swung its stinger, and wanted to kick away the 2 fragrant pills. Unexpectedly, the female scorpion that had been hiding behind it suddenly jumped out, and quickly swallowed a spirit beast pill. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The treasure-seeking scorpion shouted angrily, "How can you eat something given by humans? They are all bad people." Squeak, squeak, squeak. The female scorpion's previous weakness was gone, and she scolded back with an even sharper voice, "Is there something wrong with your brain? You can't even tell that it's a good thing? If you don't eat it, I will die." Although it had scars all over its body, it was also very fierce when it scolded. The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately softened, and fawningly pushed the remaining spirit beast pill to its wife, and squeaked, "Since there are benefits, you should eat more." Squeak, squeak. The female scorpion originally wanted to leave this pill for its husband. But its body was indeed weak, and if it didn't take supplements, it might not be able to grow old together with its husband. Therefore, it simply swallowed the remaining spirit beast pill. As expected, the love between husband and wife is deep. Yi Jioga sighed. "Young miss, could it be that you can understand their conversation?" Yi Yu asked curiously. He had never heard of young miss having this ability. Yi Jioga was stunned. Only then did she realize that she could actually understand the conversation between the 2 scorpions. She never had such an ability before. "Speaking of which, you seem to understand what Little Red said last time." Jun Yichen looked at Yi Jioga with a probing gaze. Although the blood-clothed Miao people could also communicate with Gu, they could only roughly understand the meaning, and could not understand what they were saying. Really? Yi Jioga thought about it, and realized that there really was. At that time, she said that Little Red's big belly looked like it was pregnant, and Little Red angrily said that it was a male insect. But the information she received at that time was not very clear, so she did not take it to heart. At this time, the female scorpion ate the spirit beast pill, and the scars on its body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. The treasure-seeking scorpion knew that this spirit beast pill was truly beneficial to his wife, so he immediately begged Yi Jioga, "You're a good person, please take us in. Not only can I search for treasures, I can also sneak in and assassinate people. I have great abilities. As long as you can give my wife one of those pills every day, I'm willing to work for you." This time, Yi Jioga could clearly feel that the treasure-seeking scorpion was talking to her. Oh my God! When did she learn this foreign language? Why didn't she know? Yi Jioga carefully retraced the events and found that all these things happened after the fat black rat swallowed her blood essence. Could it be that the fat black rat ate her blood essence and secretly did something to it? When the treasure-seeking scorpion saw that Yi Jioga didn't respond for a long time, it thought that its requirements were too high. It quickly lowered its standards and carefully said, "All right, 1 pill a day is indeed too much. Then, 1 pill a month." Yi Jioga did not hear the words of the treasure-seeking scorpion. She was still immersed in the shock of the fat black rat doing something to her. Zi Shang once reminded her to be careful of the fat black rat and sternly warned her that she absolutely could not let the fat black rat swallow her blood essence. Now that she made a big mistake, how was she going to explain it to Zi Shang? However, with so many people present, she couldn't bring the fat black rat out for interrogation. The treasure-seeking scorpion trembled with fear as it looked at Yi Jioga's expression. Seeing that she was suspicious, annoyed, and finally put on a murderous expression, his little heart suddenly jumped, and he quickly said, "All right, I don't want the meatballs anymore. As long as you don't bully my wife, I'll follow you." After saying that, it especially emphasized, "My wife had a miscarriage last time because of that vicious woman. Now, her body is very weak, and she can't bear even the slightest bit of torment. If you kill her, I won't live alone. The treasure-seeking scorpion's poisonous stinger was raised high to show its determination. The female scorpion that had been quietly staying by its side thought of her miscarried child and was so angry that even her carapace turned dark brown. It had been with the treasure-seeking scorpion for many years, but they had never been able to reproduce. That vicious woman probably wanted to get another treasure-seeking scorpion, so she fed them a lot of drugs to stimulate them into estrus and mating. After much difficulty, she was finally pregnant with a baby. In the end, that vicious woman used medicine to test it and found that the child in its belly was just an ordinary scorpion, so she got rid of the child. It hated that vicious woman to death, but unfortunately, it had no way to deal with her. That vicious woman was really too strong. But now, that powerful and vicious woman was killed by these humans, which meant that these humans were stronger than her. Most importantly, that girl with snow-like skin and unimaginably beautiful, who looked like a white lotus, had a very good heart. This could be seen from the fact that she didn't stop it from swallowing the 2 good pills. The female scorpion made up her mind to follow this white lotus for the rest of her life, so she said to the treasure-seeking scorpion, "Tell it that you're willing to make a contract with her." Why? The treasure-seeking scorpion was very shocked. Its wife was very stubborn. When it was tortured and abused by that vicious woman, it gritted its teeth and didn't let it agree to sign a contract with that vicious woman. Why did she agree now? She's a good person. The female scorpion was also very helpless, but it felt that other than signing a contract, it couldn't come up with any other conditions to move the white lotus girl. All right. The treasure-seeking scorpion had always listened to its wife, so it wanted to ask Yijioga to sign a contract. At this time, Yijioga had already woken up from the chaos of being tricked by the fat black rat. Hearing the treasure-seeking scorpion couple's words, she quickly said, "I don't need you to sign a contract with me. If you want to follow me, then follow me. In the future, if you find a suitable master or have other plans, just let me know in advance." Zi Shang wasn't here, so Yijioga didn't dare to casually sign a contract with a strange beast. Most importantly, with the fat black rat around, she didn't like the treasure-seeking scorpion's ability to find treasures. The treasure-seeking scorpion couple was stunned. They had been abused by Lu Yunfei for too long, and they didn't dare to believe that there was such a good person in this world. "I still have things to do, go rest in my bag first. We'll talk about other things later." After Yijioga finished speaking, she opened the bag that she carried with her. The fat black rat turned over in the corner of the bag, sleeping soundly. The treasure-seeking scorpion couple wisely chose a corner that was the furthest away from her and quietly lay dormant. Junie Chen and Luo Tian had been watching the conversation between Yijioga and the 2 scorpions. Seeing that she was really proficient in the beast language, they revealed complicated expressions. Chapter 192. Just as Junie Chen was about to speak, Yijioga interrupted him, "It's useless even if you ask me, I still don't know how I suddenly understand the beast language." Before Zi Shang came out, Yijioga didn't want to expose the special ability of the fat black rat. Junie Chen frowned, he was very dissatisfied with Yijioga's answer. Being proficient in the beast language was very important to the Blood Cloak tribe. If he learned it, he could kill his way back to avenge the tribe leader. Luo Tian grabbed the young master's shoulder and shook his head in disagreement. Everyone had their own secrets. They didn't have the right to interrogate, not to mention that the person with the secret was Yijioga. Junie Chen bit his lower lip. He knew that he was wrong, but he wanted revenge too much. Yi Yu sensed that the atmosphere wasn't good, he quickly said, "Let's talk about the beast language later. Let's see what's in Lu Yunfei's Cosmos bag first." After that, he erased the imprint on Lu Yunfei's Cosmos bag and shook out the things inside. First was a thick pile of beautiful beauty skin, Gong Hongyu's human skin was also in it. Other than that, there were 18 blood bottles filled with extremely thick blood and 15 jade boxes. These jade boxes contained bloody meatballs, which were the spiritual roots that they had collected from the spiritualists they had killed during this period of time. But he didn't see the blood beads that Juni Chen mentioned. Yi Yu looked around and didn't find anything that looked like the blood beads. He wasn't sure if he missed anything, so he looked up at Juni Chen and asked, "Did you remember wrongly?" "Impossible, a core disciple like Lu Yunfei must have blood beads, unless she gave them to someone else," Juni Chen said with certainty. "Can this thing be given to someone else?" Bai Songling asked curiously. "Of course. Although these blood beads can increase one's combat power, they also cause great damage after use." With Lu Yunfei's arrogant personality, she probably felt that she couldn't use it, so she gave it to someone who needed it more. Although these were all Juni Chen's conjectures, he felt that it was most likely the truth. Bai Songling and Yi Yu felt that Juni Chen's words made sense. Yi Jioga, on the other hand, was skeptical. She didn't know why, but she felt that she had missed some very important clues that could affect the entire situation. What was it? Yi Jioga felt a swelling pain in his head, but he had no clue. At this time, Juni Chen's expression suddenly changed, and he said, "Not good, Wan Xiang's insects have been killed." Xiang's insect was killed? How is that possible? Bai Songling couldn't believe it. Wan Xiang was doing fine in the alchemy pavilion. How could something happen to him? Would I joke about something like this? Juni Chen's expression was ugly. Before Wan Xiang's goo hatched, it was still under the control of his blood essence. Now that he was killed for no reason, it was also a great loss to him. Little master is not lying. Wan Xiang's goo worm is indeed dead, Luo Tian said solemnly. As soon as he finished speaking, Lil, Red, Big Mouth, and Black Tyrant all flew above everyone's heads uneasily. They flew around in circles and looked extremely agitated. Could it be that Su Junqing realized that he had been exposed and decided to take the risk to attack Ziyang? The more Bai Songling thought about it, the more she felt that it was possible. She quickly said to Yi Jioga, "Why don't we go back and have a look?" He had the deepest friendship with Wan Xiang. When he heard that he was in trouble, he wanted nothing more than to grow a pair of wings and fly back to the alchemy pavilion to investigate and save him. "Let's go, we'll go back now," Yi Jioga immediately ordered. Lu Yunfei's corpse wasn't easy to take away, so Yi Yu found a place to hide her. The Cosmos sack was left with Yi Jioga. After the group finished their preparations, they hurriedly rushed towards Alchemy City. The valley was quite a distance away from Alchemy City. They hurried, but they still couldn't make it back before the city gates closed. It was already dusk. The afterglow of the setting sun cast a dark yellow glow on the closed city gates. Yi Jioga, Bai Songling, Yi Yu, and the rest squatted on a small hill half a mile away from the city gates, looking at Alchemy City from afar. She didn't know why, but when she looked at the closed city gates from afar, her heart thumped wildly. She actually didn't dare to approach. "What's wrong, young miss?" Bai Songling looked at Yi Jioga in confusion. She didn't understand why she was guarding here and not willing to enter Alchemy City. Though the city gates were closed, it wasn't a big deal to them. They could just find a hidden place to cross over. Yi Jioga shook his head, "Something's not right. It's not a wise move to return to Alchemy City right now." She didn't know how to describe her feelings, but she instinctively didn't want to go in. Yi Yu suggested, "How about I sneak in first to see what's going on?" The sky was already dark, and the city walls were surrounded by shadows. As long as he was careful, there shouldn't be a problem. "All right, be careful then." Yi Jioga nodded in agreement. Yi Yu crept away from his spot and carefully sneaked into the shadows to approach the city walls. Yi Jioga and the others carefully watched Yi Yu. After seeing that he successfully sneaked into the city walls, they finally sighed in relief. The sun slowly set, and the last of its light disappeared without a trace. At this time, the city gates suddenly opened. Two groups of soldiers with magic tools to search for evil cultivators began to attack the mountains on both sides. The gates slowly closed behind them, but the security on top of the city walls became even stricter. The top of the walls was brightly lit, and teams of fully armored soldiers were patrolling. Yi-Jyoga even saw quite a few spiritualists patrolling everywhere. The entire city was on high alert. What's going on in Alchemy City? Bai Songling also felt that something was wrong. Alchemy City wasn't this tense even when the evil cultivators were at their peak. I don't know what's going on in your Thunder Nation, but in our Blood Cloak clan, this is only the case when the clan leader is being assassinated. Luo Tian spoke word by word. Yi-Jyoga finally understood what he had missed out on. The bloodthirsty sect's target has always been Grandmaster Dongfang. Did something happen to him? That can't be. Bai Songling was shocked. No matter how powerful the evil cultivators from the bloodthirsty sect are, they can't possibly make a move against Grandmaster Dongfang in the Alchemy Pavilion. If they were really that powerful, everyone in the Alchemy Pavilion would be dead already. No, something must have happened to Grandmaster Dongfang. There must be something we haven't thought of in the Alchemy Pavilion. Yi-Jyoga's mind raced, but the more he thought about it, the more he couldn't think of anything. At this time, the treasure-seeking scorpion's voice came from the pouch. Master, I heard from Lu Yunfei that there was a demonic cultivator called Old Xiong who not only ruined most of her human skin, but also stole the blood bead that the ancestor gave her. She even said that when she returns, she must report him to the ancestor. Chapter 193. Old Bear, could it be Xiong Yunhu? Yi-Jyoga's heart tightened. No wonder that Xiong Yunhu pretended to be a coward and stayed in the Alchemy Pavilion. He clearly had ulterior motives. It seemed like bloodthirsty ancestor didn't just send an evil cultivator in disguise. Xiong Yunhu had been in the Alchemy Pavilion for so long, so he must have done many things in secret. If that was the case, Yi Yu would be in danger. Yi-Jyoga was worried and was wondering if he should send someone to rescue Yi Yu. Then her bag moved, and a purple scorpion head popped out. Master, do you want me to help you investigate the situation of the Alchemy Pavilion? The treasure-seeking scorpion volunteered. You? Yi-Jyoga was surprised. He did not expect the treasure-seeking scorpion to be so proactive in helping him. However, now that the Alchemy Pavilion was so heavily armed, she was worried that the treasure-seeking scorpion would just be delivering itself to its doorstep. Master, don't look at me like this. I'm actually very good at burrowing underground, the treasure-seeking scorpion said as it waved its two pincers. Many of these treasures were buried deep underground. If it didn't have some skills, how could it have found them? All right, then go ahead and give it a try. Do what you can and retreat if there is any danger. Yi-Jyoga nodded. If he burrowed into the ground, it would not be a big deal. Last time, the treasure-seeking scorpion was able to sneak into her window without making a sound, so it must have some ability. All right, I'll go now. The treasure-seeking scorpion crawled out of the bag and prepared to set off. Wait a minute. Yi-Jyoga called out to the treasure-seeking scorpion and poured out a spirit beast pill for it before saying, replenish your strength. Leave it for my wife. The treasure-seeking scorpion immediately said. You eat first. If this matter is done well, I will reward you. Yi-Jyoga stuffed it into the treasure-seeking scorpion's pincers. The treasure-seeking scorpion already had some intelligence. Although it felt bad for its wife, it wanted to complete the mission and obtain the reward. He immediately ate the spirit beast pill, then landed on the ground and disappeared in front of Yi-Jyoga's eyes. Yi-Jyoga opened his spiritual eye and saw a faint purple shadow heading towards Alchemy City at a rather fast speed. Relieved, she opened the bag and looked inside. The female scorpion was sleeping quietly in the corner. It had been abused before and its body was very weak. After eating the spirit beast pill, it automatically entered a state of deep sleep to repair itself. On the other side of the bag, the fat black rat was still hugging its tail, curled up into a small furry ball and sleeping. Yi-Jyoga poked its chubby body and whispered, black fatty, black fatty. The fat black rat did not react at all. Yi-Jyoga simply took it out of the bag and rubbed it in his hand. But the fat black rat was like a dead pig, not responding at all. If it weren't for the fact that its body was still warm, Yi-Jyoga would have thought that it was dead. Ever since this fellow drank her blood essence, he had been in a state of deep sleep. She had no idea what was going on. This black fatty was becoming more and more mysterious. He had to figure out its origins. If only Zi Shang was here. This fat black rat was most afraid of him. Yi Jioge could not help but sigh. Bai Songling thought that she was worried about Wan Xiang, so she comforted her, "Miss, you don't have to worry too much. Xiang is blessed by the heavens. He'll be fine." "I hope so." Yi Jioge stuffed the fat black mouse back into the belt and was about to tell Bai Songling and the others about Xiong Yunhu. A ray of purple light suddenly shot back from the city wall. It was the shadow of the treasure-seeking scorpion. Why did it return so quickly? Yi Jioge was shocked. She immediately opened her spiritual eye and saw a gray shadow following behind the treasure-seeking scorpion. She could tell that the shadow was Yi Yu. Yi Yu's shadow was flickering. It seemed that the situation was not good. Yi Jioge immediately sent Bai Songling and Luo Tian to help. Yi Yu was already an arrow at the end of its flight. He was holding on with his last breath. Seeing Bai Songling and Luo Tian, he finally relaxed and collapsed. Bai Songling carried Yi Yu on her back and Luo Tian protected him. The three of them quickly returned to their original position. "Let's change locations," Yi Jioge immediately ordered. Although there were no pursuers, they could not stay in one place for too long. Jun Yichen led the way. The group moved to an even more secluded forest before settling down. Yi Jioge immediately treated Yi Yu. His face was deathly pale. His eyebrows, sideburns, eyes and lips had turned a strange dark red. His entire body was boiling hot. Even his breath was hot. It was obvious that he was poisoned. Black Overlord was lying on Yi Yu's neck. Its originally black body had turned dark red. "How is Yi Yu?" Bai Songling asked worriedly. "He's fine." Fortunately, Black Overlord absorbed most of the poison. Otherwise, even if he didn't die, he would be half dead. Yi Jioge fed Yi Yu some frost powder. Then, he took out the thunder fire needle and started to stab Yi Yu. Drops of fiery red blood dripped down, burning small holes in the grass. What a tyrannical poison! Bai Songling was shocked. Her gaze landed on Black Overlord again. Then, she glanced at Little Mute. Bloodthirsty sex poison techniques were strange and unpredictable. If not for the protection of Little Mute's goo worms, Yi Yu would have died many times. When Bai Songling thought of this, he couldn't help but touch Big Mouth on his wrist. He secretly decided that he must ask Yi Jioge for more spirit beast pills to cultivate Big Mouth. After Yi Jioge forced the fire poison out of Yi Yu's body, he stabbed his Rinzhong acupoint. Yi Yu's body trembled. He finally woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he struggled to sit up and said in a hoarse voice, "Not good." "What's not good?" "How is Xiang?" Bai Songling asked impatiently. "Xiang is locked up in prison," Yi Yu said with a pale face. "What? Who locked him up?" Bai Songling shouted angrily. Although Wan Xiang's military power was taken away, he was still the emperor's man. Who dared to touch him? "It's the crown prince." Yi Yu gritted his teeth and said, "He and Su Junqing took advantage of Xiang's serious injuries to tie him up. They even crushed Xiang's goo worms. What right does the crown prince have? What about Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan? Are they just going to sit back and do nothing?" Bai Songling suddenly thought of this. Her expression changed drastically. Are they also bewitched by Su Junqing's bewitching art? That's not right. If he wanted to bewitch them, he would have done it long ago. Why wait until now? They weren't bewitched. I heard people from the alchemy pavilion say that Xiang was bewitched by evil cultivators and secretly poisoned Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan. Now that Master Dongfang is unconscious and Li Zijuan is in danger, the entire alchemy city is in chaos. Yi Yuxuan joined hands with the crown prince. With the help of the Alchemy Pavilion's second-in-command, Zhang Peng, they took over Alchemy City's defense. They believe that Xiang is the murderer and said that we are also evil cultivators in disguise. They want to arrest us. Yi Yu took a deep breath and continued, the worst thing is that Gong Honglei suddenly came back this morning. He heard that Master Dongfang was harmed by Wan Xiang. He immediately stood on the Crown Prince's side. Chapter 194. Bullshit, which eye of theirs saw us being tricked by the heretic? Bai Songling jumped up in anger. He wanted nothing more than to rush into the city and strangle the Crown Prince. The real evil cultivator is Xiong Yunhu. He should be like Jiang Xingjie, equipped with an aura-concealing magic tool. Moreover, his cultivation is even higher than Lu Yunfei's. Yi Jiuge told him about Xiong Yunhu in a deep voice. So it's that guy. I knew he wasn't a good person, coming to visit Xiang for no reason. He's clearly a weasel paying respects to a chicken. He must have planned to harm us. Bai Songling regretted not sending them off. If he knew this would happen, he would have stayed at the Alchemy Pavilion to accompany Wan Xiang. There's no point in saying all this now. We should hurry and think of a way to save Xiang. Yi Jiuge's expression was solemn. Aside from saving Wan Xiang, she also wanted to see the heavily injured Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan. She had the Thunderfire needles and many supreme-grade pills left behind by her grandfather. No matter how heavily injured they were, she could still save them. The only problem was that Alchemy City was full of obstacles and the Alchemy Pavilion was heavily guarded. With the Crown Prince, Yi Yuxuan, and Gong Honglei interfering, it wouldn't be easy for her to sneak into the pavilion. Yi Yu's next words confirmed Yi Jiuge's conjecture. The prison is still fine. Most of the guards are ordinary soldiers. However, Dongfang Yao and Li Zijuan's Alchemy Pavilion has been surrounded by the Crown Prince, Su Junqing, and Yi Yuxuan's men. Not even a mosquito can enter. Su Junqing even set up a fire trap around the pavilion to deal with me. If it wasn't for the scorpion, I would have died as well. Yi Yu gritted his teeth in hatred when he thought of the fire trap Su Junqing set up. That vicious bastard actually used living people to set up a trap. Otherwise, he wouldn't have fallen for it. 16 guards, 16 lives, he used them so easily to fill the hole. Yi Yu's words weighed heavily on the crowd. Who would have thought that they would fall into an even more difficult situation after clearing their grievances yesterday? Don't be too discouraged. From another perspective, this is the heretical cultivator's final scheme. As long as we save Wan Xiang and heal Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan's injuries, we can completely destroy the bloodthirsty sex plot, Yi Jiuge said calmly. Eldest Miss is right, Jiang Xingjie and Lu Yunfei have already been killed by us, Xiong Yunhu and Su Junqing won't be able to be arrogant for long. Once we expose their conspiracy, the Crown Prince, Yi Yuxuan, and Gong Honglei will be waiting to slap their faces. A ferocious smile appeared on Bai Songling's face as he said, they are helping the evil cultivators to open the way for them. They should be the ones who colluded with the evil cultivators. That's right. When the time comes, we'll be the ones to see how they clear their grievances. Yi Yu's spirits were lifted at the thought of this. He had thought that it would take many years to bring down the Su family and the Crown Prince to avenge his family. He did not expect that the hope of revenge was right in front of him. As long as he defeated Su Junqing, the Crown Prince who colluded with the evil cultivator would not have a good ending. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Bai Songling said in high spirits. Even the treasure-seeking scorpion squeaked as it stood on Yi Jiuge's shoulder. Yi Jiuge was a generous master. Since he had made a great contribution, he would definitely benefit from it. A bunch of idiots. Jun Yichen was expressionless as he ridiculed. They were clearly going to Alchemy City to die, but they were bragging about it as if it was a hero's medal. Being an idiot is not bad. Luo Tian smiled. He had been very strange before. Wan Xiang, Bai Songling, and Yi Yu were not simple characters. Why would they listen to Yi Jiuge's every word? Even his awkward and arrogant little master was completely convinced by her. Now, he finally understood. Yi Jioge had a mysterious brilliance about her. No matter how difficult the situation was, she would always be able to overcome it. If Yi Jioge knew that Luo Tian had such a high evaluation of her, she would definitely smile bitterly. She was just fooling people. Although she had fooled everyone to build up their confidence, she did not dare to recklessly bring them into Alchemy City. Her plan was to rest for 6 hours first. When the city guards were at their most exhausted, they would sneak in. Everyone expressed their approval of this plan. After they killed Jiang Xingjie last night, they rushed back to Alchemy City. Then, they fought with the Crown Prince, Yi Yuxuan, went to see Wan Ziang, and then hurriedly went to kill Lu Yunfei. After going back and forth, they were already very tired. If it weren't for their strong physiques and Yi Jioge's pills, they would have collapsed long ago. Luo Tian and Jun Yichen volunteered to keep watch. Their physiques were stronger and they were better at keeping watch. Jun Yichen kept watch for the first half of the night, while Luo Tian kept watch for the second half. No one competed with them. Bai Songling and Yi Yu each found a place to rest. Yi Jioge climbed up a 100-year-old banyan tree. Standing on a high branch, she gazed at the brightly lit Alchemy City. Every time this happened, she would miss Zishang. Although that guy was unreliable, he would always help her at crucial moments. Yi Jioge lowered her head and rubbed the purple mark on her arm. It had been almost half a month, yet there was still no movement from Zishang. She didn't know when he would come out. When he was here, she felt annoyed. Now that he wasn't here, she missed him. Just as Yi Jioge was silently scolding herself for being unreasonable, the mark seemed to move. Her eyes widened and she hurriedly raised her hand to observe. The flat mark was still dim, without any change. It seemed that she was thinking too much. Forget it, it was better to rest and recover enough energy to save Wan Ziang. Yi Jioge pulled down her sleeves and prepared to close her eyes. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the distant walls of Alchemy City. Yi Yu and Bai Songling, who were pretending to be asleep, woke up. Luo Tian and Jun Yichen also came to Yi Jioge's side and looked towards the walls. They saw that the walls were brightly lit. Then, several sky lanterns lit up. Below them were several shining words, "Surrender and you won't kill Wan Ziang." It was a blatant threat. "Eldest miss, what should we do?" Bai Songling looked at the words with a pale face. She was very uncertain. The Crown Prince and Su Junqing hated Wan Ziang to the bone. It was very possible that they would use him as an example. "Let's wait and see," Yi Jioge said in a low voice. No matter what, Wan Ziang was an imperial envoy appointed by the emperor. The Crown Prince didn't dare to act rashly. After all, he still had to return to Shangjing. At that time, if Dongfang Ke were to cause trouble and impeach him in front of the emperor, it would be difficult for the Crown Prince to explain. Yi Jioge's guess was right. The Crown Prince really didn't dare to kill Wan Ziang. "Crown Prince, now is the time to make a decision. If you don't sacrifice the child, you can't trap the wolf," Su Junqing advised. For him, killing Wan Ziang was the best choice. Chapter 195. Wan Ziang is my father's man. If I deal with him rashly, I will anger my father. The Crown Prince disagreed firmly. He knew his father too well. Although he could sentence Wan Ziang to death based on the fact that he had slandered him, his father had no right to kill him. However, only his father could issue the order to kill him. If he did, it would be a seizure of power. "Your Highness, there is no need to worry. The plan for the capital is a success. Even the emperor is no cause for concern." Su Junqing's words were straightforward. The spies in the capital had already started to attack Emperor Xuanwu. There was no need to care about his anger. Let's wait until they succeed. The Crown Prince glanced at Su Junqing. It was not that he did not believe in Su Junqing's ability. It was because his father was a spiritual master, and there were many experts protecting him in the palace. It was unlikely that he would succeed. Therefore, he had to be prepared for both eventualities. Seeing that the crown prince would not listen to him, Su Junqing gave up. Anyway, Wan Xiang was doomed. There was no need to fall out with the crown prince over such a small matter. He changed his mind. Since you are unwilling to use Wan Xiang as bait, let's use someone else. Who do you want to use as bait? The crown prince was confused. Other than Wan Xiang, they did not have anyone else. I heard that Yi Jioge loves her maidservants very much. I wonder if it is true. Su Junqing smiled sinisterly. Previously, he'd used the young maid, Hua Dai, as bait and successfully lured Yi Jioge to the pile of rocks. This time, he would use Yu Dai as bait. In the Flying Frost Pavilion in the Medicine Refinery Complex, Yi Rui clenched her small fists and stood in front of Yu Dai. She glared at Yi Shanshan like a little beast and said, "No, Yu Dai is my maidservant. You cannot take her away. Fourth sister, Yu Dai is eldest sister's maidservant. How did she become yours?" A cold smile flashed across Yi Shanshan's delicate face. She said slowly, "Eldest sister has committed a heinous crime. I advise you not to get involved in this mess. Eldest sister is not a sorcerer. You are the ones who are falsely accusing her," Yi Rui shrieked angrily. This morning, big sister had clearly cleared her name. Suddenly, something happened to Master Dongfang, and the situation was reversed. She didn't understand what had happened, but she clearly saw her father and second sister adding insult to injury. Together with the crown prince, they wronged eldest sister. "Shut up." Yi Shanshan narrowed her eyes. Suddenly, she raised her hand and slapped Yi Rui. Yi Rui was only 7 years old this year. Although she had outstanding potential, she had not been cultivating for long. She was far from being Yi Shanshan's match. She was immediately sent flying with a slap, crashing into a pile of tables and chairs. Fourth young mistress. Qing Hu and Qing Lu's expressions changed drastically as they hurriedly rushed over. Yu Dai also wanted to check on fourth young mistress's injuries, but she was held down by Yi Shanshan's bodyguards, gagged, and tied up. "Fourth sister, please don't blame me. I slapped you for your own good. If father was here, I'm afraid this matter wouldn't be resolved with just a slap." Yi Shanshan pretended to sigh and left with the guards. Yi Rui's hair was disheveled and her small face was swollen like a pig's head. She looked at Yi Shanshan's retreating figure with hatred. Once again, she hated herself for speaking so lowly. If she had eldest sister's ability, she would not have ended up like this. "Fourth young mistress, you have done your best. Take care of yourself. Eldest miss will not blame you if she knows." Qing Hu and Qing Lu were sobbing. Yi Rui bit her lip and forced back her tears. She stood up and walked to the table. She picked up the alchemy cultivation book and began to read. There was only one burning thought in her mind: I want to become stronger, stronger and stronger. Outside Medicine Refinery City, in a small forest, Yi Jioge and the others were slowly approaching Medicine Refinery City. Although Yi Jioge was certain that the crown prince would not dare to make a move, it was better to be safe than sorry. Just then, there was a change on the noisy wall. The Kongming lanterns fell, and a new row of glowing words appeared. "Yu Dai will not be killed if she surrenders." Then, a young girl wearing a jade-green dress was hung from the wall. "Yu Dai." Yi Jioge's eyes narrowed. He could tell at a glance that the little girl was Yu Dai. Despicable and shameless. How dare you use a young girl to extort a confession? Are you even human? Bai Songling gritted his teeth and clenched his fists in anger. "Eldest miss, let's go and save her." Yi Yu said calmly. "We must save her. Otherwise, Su Junqing will think that we are cowards." Bai Songling agreed. Yi Jioge did not speak. Her face was as calm as water, but her eyes seemed to be burning with fire. The crown prince did not dare kill Wan Ziang, but he definitely dared to kill Yu Dai. She did not want the innocent Yu Dai to suffer. However, if she surrendered so easily, they would lose the initiative and would not be able to deal with the crown prince and Su Junqing in the future. If she was alone, she would do anything, even if it was a mountain of blades or a sea of flames. However, this matter involved too many things. Sorcerers, Dong Fangyao, Li Zijuan, Wan Ziang, she could not only care about her own feelings. She was in a dilemma. Just as Yi Jioga was in a dilemma, a familiar, seductive voice sounded in her mind, "If you want to go, then go." At the city gates of Medicine Refinery City, Yu Dai was tied behind her back and hung from the wall. Her head hung low, and her thin, frail body looked lonely and miserable in the night wind. "Yi Jioga, if you surrender obediently, I will spare this little sorcerer's life. If you don't blame us for being rude to her." Su Juanqing's cold voice rang out from Medicine Refinery City. Yu Dai struggled to raise her head and shouted, "Eldest miss, don't worry about me. They instructed Hua Dai to frame you." However, before she could finish speaking, she let out a scream. It turned out that one of Su Juanqing's guards had lashed her body with a whip. "Add some chili water to her. It doesn't matter if you cripple her, as long as she doesn't die," Su Junqing instructed calmly. "Yes." The guard's name was Gon Air. He was tall and thin, with triangular eyes and broom-like eyebrows. He looked very sinister, and he loved to extort confessions through torture. This was the first time he had displayed his skills in front of the entire city. He was very excited and immediately prepared a bucket of chili water. He dipped his whip in it and flung it at Yu Dai. The whip, which had been dipped in chili water, broke her skin, and the burning pain rushed straight to her head. It was so painful that it could drive a person crazy. Yu Dai was in so much pain that her whole body convulsed. Her hands, which were tied behind her back, were even worse. She clenched her teeth and swallowed the screams and blood into her stomach. She knew that these evil people wanted to use her to lure the eldest Mississippi. She could not let them have their way. "Not bad, little girl." A fierce glint flashed across Gon Air's face, and his entire body contorted with excitement. He switched to a whip with barbs. Not only was this whip more painful, but it could also destroy Yu Dai's clothes. When he thought of Yu Dai's clothes being torn, her naked body covered in blood from his whipping, and the entire city admiring this masterpiece with him, he was so excited that his eyes turned red. Chapter 196. Little girl, enjoy it. Gon Air raised his whip covered in chili water and lashed it towards Yu Dai's chest. Yu Dai closed her eyes and gritted her teeth, waiting for the pain to come. However, the pain didn't come. Instead, the ropes binding her snapped and the wind whistled by her ears. Yu Dai suddenly opened her eyes and saw a sky-blue figure floating towards her, carrying her as they landed safely on the ground. "Young mistress." Yu Dai looked at the beautiful face in front of her and thought that she was dreaming. "It's fine now." Yi Jioga quickly checked Yu Dai's body and only handed her to Bai Songling after seeing that she only suffered flesh wounds. "You really came?" Su Junqing felt that Yi Jioga was an idiot. She was only an insignificant maid, yet she personally came to take a risk. She was truly soft-hearted. As for Yu Dai being saved, Su Junqing didn't care. Without Yu Dai, there was still Qing Hu and Qing Lu. Yi Shanshan told him that the two maids were also transferred from Yi Jioga's side. "Su Junqing, you're the first young noble of the Su clan, yet you used an innocent 12-year-old girl to lure me out. You even beat her up in front of the entire city. I don't know if this is the Su clan's tradition or the crown prince's order." Yi Jioga stood in front of the city gates. Her eyes were clear and calm, but her expression was even more arrogant. The night breeze blew her long black hair. She looked like a fairy riding the clouds, elegant and transcendent. Her voice wasn't loud, but it echoed throughout the city. At this time, the residents of Alchemy City were restless. No one was sleeping. Although the Crown Prince and Su Juanqing's group had been spreading rumors that Yu Dai was Yi Jioga's accomplice and a heretical cultivator, the beating was too cruel. Especially those with young daughters. They hugged their children tightly and covered their ears, not daring to let them see this cruel side. Regardless of Yi Jioga's reputation, she appeared out of nowhere and saved her maid. This righteousness was admirable. The Crown Prince's heart skipped a beat after hearing Yi Jioga's words. As the Crown Prince, he had to prioritize righteousness. Using such sinister methods was indeed damaging to his reputation. Su Juanqing calmly said, "Yi Jioga, you killed people, skinned them, sucked their blood to cultivate, and committed heinous crimes. You still have the face to say that my methods are cruel? Evil cultivators go against the heavens, and everyone has the right to punish them. I was just acting out of convenience. If you had surrendered obediently, I wouldn't have treated them like this. I can surrender." Yi Jioga abruptly interrupted Su Juanqing's long speech. What? Su Juanqing was stunned, thinking that he had misheard. Young mistress. Bai Songling and Yi Yu exclaimed at the same time. Just now in the dense forest, they couldn't bear to see the little maidservant suffer and decided to come out to save her, but they didn't say that they would surrender. But I have two conditions. Yi Jioga's beautiful face was like the tranquil surface of a lake without any ripples. Tell me about it. Su Juanqing asked with great interest. First, kill the guard who attacked just now. Yi Jioga's cold voice contained an undisguised killing intent. When Gan Er heard this, the blood drained from his face and he immediately fell to his knees. Just as he was about to beg for mercy, he saw Lord Su move his finger and a black light shot into his body, sealing his begging in his throat. Su Juanqing gave a look to the guard beside him. The short and sturdy guard immediately stepped on Gan Er, making him unable to move. What's the second condition? Su Juanqing stopped. Although killing a donkey after it had outlived its usefulness wasn't good, he didn't care about such a small matter anymore. Second, send Wan Xiang out. Yi Jioga raised her voice. Su Juanqing couldn't help but frown. He didn't hastily agree to Yi Jioga's condition, but asked, "Will you surrender alone, or will you bring them along?" "I will exchange myself for Wan Xiang." Yi Jioga said word by word. "Young mistress, you can't." Yi Yu immediately objected. "I'm closest to Xiang, you should let me exchange him." Bai Songling shouted anxiously. "Young mistress, this matter should be considered at length." Luo Tian also disagreed. Feeding oneself to a tiger was the most foolish thing to do. Jun Yichen silently rolled his eyes. "I've made up my mind." Yi Jioga turned around with her back facing Su Juanqing. Her expression was indifferent as she looked at Bai Songling and the others with her bright eyes. Then, she mischievously winked and silently said, "Listen to me." Bai Songling and Yi Yu were stunned and couldn't help but look at each other. The two of them had known Yi Jioga for the longest time and knew that she always had a lot of cunning ideas and powerful methods. She never did anything that she wasn't sure of. Seeing that Bai Songling and Yi Yu had agreed, Luo Tian and Jun Yichen no longer objected. Just as Yi Jioga was exchanging signals with Bai Songling and the others, Su Juanqing was also discussing with the Crown Prince whether to agree to Yi Jioga's condition. "Your Highness, I think we can use the half-dead Wan Xiang to exchange for Yi Jioga." Su Juanqing's attitude was very firm. He was determined to get Yi Jioga. However, the Crown Prince was still a little hesitant and said unhappily, "Yi Jioga said to exchange, then wouldn't we lose face? If they want to exchange, then let them all exchange. Your Highness, Yi Jioga is undoubtedly their leader. If she falls into our hands, will the others be able to escape?" Su Juanqing smiled confidently. "That's true." The Crown Prince thought about it and felt that Su Juanqing's words were quite reasonable. He smiled and said, "Yi Jioga really is an idiot. She really thinks that using herself to exchange for someone else is righteous. Wait until she falls into our hands and we'll deal with her." As the Crown Prince spoke, an ominous glint appeared in his eyes. He had probably already thought of countless tortures to deal with Yi Jioge. Your Highness, no matter what, Yi Jioge's surname is Yi. Even though she and Grandmaster Yi have fallen out, she still has some face. Your Highness, please bear with it and don't make things difficult for Grandmaster Yi, Su Junqing earnestly advised. This is Grandmaster Yi's idea. The Crown Prince frowned. If this really was Yi Yuxuan's idea, then he really had to consider it. Recently, many large families in Shangjing had been roped in by Dongfang, Quebec. He urgently needed Yi Yuxuan's support. Su Junqing subtly nodded. The Su family and Yi family were in-laws, so in the Crown Prince's eyes, they were family. This could indeed represent Yi Yuxuan's attitude. All right then. Even though the Crown Prince felt that it was a pity that he couldn't immediately deal with Yi Jioge, there was still a long way to go. The Crown Prince is wise. Su Junqing let out a slight sigh of relief. Yi Jioge was someone that the bloodthirsty ancestor wanted, so he definitely couldn't be lost. After Su Junqing and the Crown Prince finished their discussion, he ordered the guards beside him, go and bring Wan Xiang over. The guards obeyed and left. Su Junqing then said to Yi Jioge, who was at the bottom of the city wall, I agree to your conditions. To show my sincerity, I'll give you the first condition. With that, he threw Gone Air down the city wall. Chapter 197. Yi Jioge looked coldly at the guard who fell in a straight line and finally smashed his head into the mud, creating a flower of blood. He's dead. Bai Songling glanced at him and knew that the guard couldn't be saved. That's good. We don't have to dirty our hands. Yi Jioge withdrew her gaze indifferently and looked at the gate of the city wall. Soon, the gate opened. Su Junqing led a group of guards and walked out, carrying a military green stretcher. Wan Xiang was lying on the stretcher. From a distance, his face was as pale as a dead man, and his breathing was very low. What did you do to him? Bai Songling roared in shock and anger. Brother Bai, don't be nervous. Brother Wan is fine. He was seriously injured before and has not recovered. He wanted to get out of bed and jump. I was afraid that his injury would worsen, so I fed him some muscle-softening powder. Su Junqing said lightly. Yi Jioge pulled the furious Bai Songling and whispered, I have the antidote for the muscle-softening powder in my bag. Give it to him after the exchange. She left all the antidotes behind before she left. I see. Miss, please be careful. Bai Songling nodded vigorously. Miss, if you've discussed it, then come over. Although Su Junqing was smiling, he was actually very nervous. He was also worried that Bai Songling would suddenly snatch him. It would be a joke if he suffered a double loss. Yi Jioge calmly walked towards Su Junqing. The guards carrying Wan Xiang avoided her and walked toward Bai Songling and the others. They brushed past each other. Wan Xiang was successfully received by Bai Songling and the others. Yi Jioge also came to Su Junqing's side. Miss Yi is really righteous. I admire you. Su Junqing looked at Yi Jioge and smiled, but his eyes began to turn pale red. A hazy power enveloped Yi Jioge's body. Yi Jioge felt a little dizzy and her body couldn't help but shake. She knew that Su Junqing was using the mind-bewitching spell on her, so she didn't resist and let him do it. After Su Junqing was sure that Yi Jioge was under the mind-bewitching spell, he began to ask, where is Lu Yunfei? She was killed by our joint attack. Yi Jioge replied. Su Junqing's pupils constricted. Although he had a bad premonition when he heard that Yi Jioge and the others had left the city to chase after the injured Lu Yunfei. But when he found out that she was really dead, he was still very surprised. After all, Lu Yunfei's strength was extraordinary. She was also very cautious and cunning. No one would have thought that she would die so easily. Forget it, death is death. In any case, as long as he could complete the task given by the old ancestor would not fuss about this. Su Junqing made up his mind and asked, what about her corpse and storage bag? This was the main point. The corpse is buried in a red clay valley 300 miles away from the city. The storage bag is with Yi Jilga said honestly. The 150 kilometers of red clay valley was the base that they had discussed before. It seemed that Yi Jilga had not lied. Su Junqing then said to Yi Jilga, "Eldest miss, for safety's sake, please hand over all your weapons to me for safekeeping." "I don't have any weapons. I gave them to Bai Songling and the others before I came," Yi Jilga replied in a daze. Su Junqing glanced at Yi Jilga and saw that she did not have any decorations on her body. Her dress was also quite tight and did not look like it could be used to store things. He believed her. "Then, please." Su Junqing led the way in front. "Yi Jilga, to think that you would have such a day." The crown prince stood on the stairs nearby and sneered. Yi Jilga's eyes were a bit dull as if she did not hear the crown prince's words. The crown prince frowned and was about to explode, but he was stopped by Su Junqing. "Your Highness, we still have many things to do. Why don't we take Yi Jilga to the prison first and lock her up with the spirit forbidden hoop?" "Very well, the spirit forbidden hoop suits her the best." The crown prince nodded in satisfaction. Alchemy City's death prison was equipped with a spirit forbidden hoop. This chain was made from spirit-absorbing stone. After wearing it, it would seal the spiritual force of a martial artist. Because wearing it for a long time would damage the meridians of the body, it was not used when they locked Yi Jilga up. In the dark and damp prison, the iron bars of the death prison shone coldly under the dim candlelight. After passing through a corridor filled with a musty smell, they walked to the deepest part of the prison, the only death prison of Alchemy City. Dong Fangyao was not a bloodthirsty person. Alchemy City had been established for a long time, but the death prison had only locked up a few bandits who had committed murder. In the last 5 years, no one had been living here. The corners were covered with moss, and rats and cockroaches were running all over the floor. Not to mention a bed, there was not even a pile of hay. The spirit forbidden hoop was on the gray wall, and the mottled iron chain bound 2 gray bracelets. "Eldest miss, please." Su Junqing walked to the wall and smiled while holding the 2 gray bracelets. His eyes flashed red. On the surface, he looked very relaxed, but his whole body was very tense, afraid that Yi Jilga would suddenly explode and escape. Behind Yi Jilga, a group of intermediate spiritualist guards surrounded her in a circle. Yi Jilga acted as if she did not know that the spirit forbidden hoop would harm her. She silently walked forward, and her azure sleeves slid down, revealing her snow-white arms. After Su Junqing put the gray spirit forbidden hoop on Yi Jilga's hand, he finally felt relieved and couldn't help but laugh. "Yi Jilga, you finally fell into my hands." Half of the task was completed, and his heart was indescribably comfortable. Next, he just had to wait for Xiong Yunhu to transport the oriental medicine out. As for Wan Xiang and the others, he was not in a hurry to capture them. Previously, when he helped the bloodthirsty sect collect girls and spiritualists, he could only be sneaky and restrained. Now that Wan Xiang, Bai Songling, and the others were his scapegoats, he just had to be bold in the future. Yi Jilga had been very sluggish and did not respond to Su Junqing's laughter. After Su Junqing laughed enough, he proudly left with the guards. The death cell immediately fell into darkness, and one could not see their fingers in front of them. A dirty and fat big rat came out of the corner and curiously circled around Yi Jilga. It bared its big teeth and wanted to take a bite of this fragrant prey. The sound of chains suddenly rang out, scaring the big dirty rat into fleeing. Yi Jilga, who was a little sluggish, slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear, and she whispered, "Didn't you say you have a way to help me settle it? Why aren't you coming out?" Little Jilga is really impatient. After not seeing this sovereign for so long, you want to do it as soon as you come out. A pleasant light laughter sounded in the dark death cell, like the night wind blowing through the valley. "Stop being so long-winded. This bracelet is super uncomfortable to wear. Hurry up and untie it for me." Yi Jilga forcefully pulled it. The chains rattled, and the spirit forbidden hoop flashed with a gray light. It pierced into Yijioga's wrist and sealed all the spiritual power in her body. TSK, little Joga's temper is really getting worse. It seems that when this sovereign is not here, your days are not good. Zishang laughed softly. A tall and straight figure gradually appeared in front of Yijioga. Chapter 198. The originally pitch-black prison cell lit up with starlight, illuminating his entire body. His long purple hair became jet black and soft, tied with a golden crown, and the rest of his hair was scattered behind his head like a crow's feather. His purple vertical pupils became unfathomably deep, occasionally flashing with light, that was a proud and peerless sharpness. Wearing a dark purple robe with dark patterns, he stood tall like a jade, outstanding like an immortal. Most importantly, that long black snake tail turned into a pair of long legs. You really turned into a human? Yijioga suddenly opened her eyes wide. Although she had some guesses when Zishang mentioned the form transformation bead. But when she saw this demon snake really turn into a human, she still felt very shocked. Don't you want this sovereign to stay by your side day and night? Zishang's coquettish face had a touch of helplessness and pampering, looking like he was thinking for Yijioga, it's not too convenient to be in the original body, it's better to be in the human body. Who wants you to stay by my side day and night? Yijioga was crazy to want this guy to accompany her day and night. No. Zishang raised his eyebrows, turned and walked towards the prison door, then this sovereign is leaving. Come back. Yijioga hurriedly stretched out her hand. She was now wearing the spirit forbidden hoop, she couldn't use all her energy. If Zishang didn't save her, she would become the meat on the crown prince and Su Juanqing's chopping board. What are you coming back for? Zishang stood at the door and slightly turned his head, his handsome face full of ridicule, his black eyes full of interest, obviously teasing Yijioga. Come back and stay with me, accompany me day and night. Yijioga bit the bullet and finished saying this, goosebumps kept appearing on her body, she was about to be disgusted to death by herself. Since you are so sincere, then this sovereign will be merciful and come back. Zishang returned to Yijioga's side, bent over in front of her, smiled and said, to show my sincerity, kiss one first. Yijioga's face twitched, why did she feel that Zishang in human form was even more shameless? Why aren't you saying anything? Zishang raised his eyebrows, suddenly realizing, this sovereign knows, you think one kiss is too little, right? If I really can't do anything, then I'll kiss too. Damn you. Yijioga really wanted to vomit blood. To prevent Zishang from acting shamelessly again, Yijioga braced himself and kissed Zishang's face. Zishang turned his head around and kissed Yijioga. Her soft lips and faint fragrance turned the entire dark cell pink. As Zishang kissed Yijioga, he did not forget to grab the 2 rings on Yijioga's hands. His palm spat out a pale purple flame, and the ring fell to the ground with a thud. The familiar spirit energy returned to Yijioga. She finally woke up from Zishang's intoxication and pushed him away. There's still one more kiss. I still owe you. Zishang placed her slender fingers on her red lips and winked at Yijioga. You want me to owe you the moment I come out? I might as well not have come out. Yijioga cursed inwardly as he rubbed his somewhat numb wrist. This spirit forbidden hoop was really powerful. She had only worn it for a while and her wrist was already hurting. Although Zishang had taken human form, some of his habits hadn't changed. He hugged Yijioga and rested his chin on her forehead. After taking a sniff, he asked with some disgust, how long has it been since you washed your hair? I've been working hard outside every day, where would I have the time to wash my hair? Yijioga secretly cursed Zishang for being unreasonable in her heart, but she still had a bright smile on her face as she said, when I rescue Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan, I'll immediately go wash my hair and make myself smell good, okay? That's more like it. Zishang was quite satisfied with Yijioga's attitude. You see, I'm just one person and I don't have any weapons on me. If I walk out like this, I'm afraid I'll be caught immediately. I wonder if the king has any tricks. Yi Jioge said with a flattering smile. She came in with all her might and could only count on Zishang. Simple. Zishang stretched out his hand and drew a concealment talisman on Yi Jioge's forehead and said, just walk out like this. Those guards won't be able to see you. You have the time it takes for an incense to burn. The time it takes for an incense to burn is enough. Yi Jioge's eyes lit up as she realized that Zishang had woken up just in time. However, this sovereign has to remind you that this sovereign's demonic power has been used to devour the transformation fruit. Right now, the amount of demonic power that this sovereign can use every day is limited. Just now, when I helped you remove the spirit forbidden hoop and drew this concealment talisman, I have consumed a lot of it. Now, I only have a third of it left. Zishang said. What do you mean? Yi Jioge suddenly felt that something was wrong. It means that when we fight, you go first. If you can't beat this sovereign, then I'll take you and escape. Zishang's smile was very charming, like a blooming epiphyllum in the night, with a light fragrance. It was simply beautiful. But Yi Jioge only wanted to beat him up. Or, if you want to escape now, that's fine. Zishang expressed that he was a very democratic person. Let's fight first. Yi Jioge spent a lot of effort to sneak in. It was not her style to escape without even seeing the person. Fine. Zishang did not care. Wait. Yi Jioge bent down, lifted the hem of her skirt, and muttered, fortunately, I already knew that you are unreliable. A thin silver rope was tied around Yi Jioge's calf. It was the shrunken thunder snake illusionary whip. After she surrendered, she showed weakness everywhere, and even willingly let Su Junqing confuse her, all in order to hide this weapon. Yi Jioge untied the thunder snake illusionary whip and wrapped it around her waist again. Then, she asked Zishang, can I attack while in the concealment state? Yes, but the moment you attack, the concealment state will automatically be removed. Zishang said. That's good. Yi Jioge slightly heaved a sigh of relief. With this opportunity to sneak attack, her chances of winning were higher. You go in front. This sovereign will protect you from behind. After Zishang finished speaking, he also concealed his figure. Yi Jioge quietly left the death prison. Along the way, the prison guards turned a blind eye to her. The moment she came out of the death prison, she discovered that there were many hidden guards lying in ambush. There were traps everywhere, and poison was everywhere. Needless to say, they were to prevent Bai Songling and the others from breaking into the prison to rescue her. Yi Jioge did not alarm the hidden guards. Instead, she tiptoed towards the medicine refinement pavilion. The guards along the way were very strict. When she arrived near the medicine refinement pavilion, there was a guard every 10 steps. If not for Zishang's concealment talisman, it would have been extremely difficult for her to get close to this place. Yi Jioge avoided the guards and quietly entered Dongfang Yao's room. The room was filled with the strong smell of medicine. Dongfang Yao was lying on the bed. His old face was dark, and his breathing was weak. Su Junqing and Xiong Yunhu stood by Dongfang Yao's bed and talked. Yi Jioge hid in the dark and couldn't help but frown. The concealment talisman only lasted for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. If the two of them kept talking, it would be troublesome. Chapter 199. Although Yi Jioge had never fought with Xiong Yunhu, she knew from Lu Yunfei's words that he was a tough one. She had no confidence in a one-on-one fight, and with Su Junqing added, she would definitely lose. She had to think of a way to lure Su Junqing away. At this moment, Zishang's fingers suddenly landed on Yi Jioge's back. She didn't know what he was drawing, but it was ticklish. Yi Jioge's face darkened. At this time, he was still trying to take advantage of her. Could he please look at the location? Zishang seemed to have guessed Yi Jioge's thoughts, and knocked her head before starting to draw again. After Yi Jioge calmed down, she realized that Zishang was drawing the word, wait. Alright. Since Zishang wants to wait, then let's wait. Hopefully they can finish their conversation quickly. Su Junqing didn't know that Yi Jiuge was secretly peeping. He was reporting the news of Yi Jiuge to Xiong Yunhu. Yi Jiuge has already put on the spirit forbidden hoop and is locked in the death prison. I have set up many traps in the surroundings. If Bai Songling and the rest rush over to save them, I guarantee that they won't be able to escape. I don't care what happens to Bai Songling and Wan Xiang, but those two blood-clothed Miao people and Yi Jiuge must be left to me. Xiong Yunhu said coldly. Ever since Elder Ancestor devoured the blood-clothed Miao people's tribe leader, he realized that he was tricked by that tribe leader, and many of his bloodline secrets were leaked. Elder Ancestor had sent a few people to search for the remaining members of the blood-clothed Miao people, but there were no results. If he could bring these two people back to Elder Ancestor, it would be a great merit. But Lu Yunfei and Old Jiang are both dead. Can you bring so many people alone? Su Junqing frowned, and said disapprovingly, don't forget, our mission is to bring Dongfang Yao back to Elder Ancestor as a primer. He spent a lot of effort to rope in Zhangpeng, and only then did he succeed in poisoning Dongfang Yao. This poison was made by Elder Ancestor using his own blood essence and Snow Spider King poison. There was only one portion in this world, there wouldn't be any more. You don't need to worry about this, just mind your own business. Xiong Yunhu grabbed Su Junqing's shirt and lifted him up fiercely. He even dared to snatch Lu Yunfei's things, let alone Su Junqing, an outer disciple. If not for the fact that this person was still useful, just based on what he had said just now, he would have died without a doubt. Senior brother, please calm down. Junior brother was wrong. Su Junqing felt Xiong Yunhu's ferocious gaze and shivered in fear. Previously, he thought that Lu Yunfei was the one in charge of the overall situation. It was only later that he found out that the real main force was this Xiong Yunhu. Xiong Yunhu was the eldest disciple of Forefather Bloodthirsty. He had received all the teachings of the Forefather. He was a cruel and ruthless person, and he would often kill people and bleed them to cultivate. He was a terrifying person in Bloodthirsty sect. Xiong Yunhu finally let go of Su Junqing. Su Junqing didn't even dare to tidy up his clothes. He immediately smiled apologetically and said, Senior brother, junior brother was also worried that something would go wrong. That's why he said the wrong thing. I hope senior brother can be magnanimous and not lower himself to junior brother's level. Alright, less nonsense. I'll give you an hour to find Lu Yunfei's body. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out. Xiong Yunhu grinned. His snow-white teeth were even scarier than a shark's. Lu Yunfei was one of the top 10 experts in Bloodthirsty sect. Her body was also an excellent material for blood refinement. If he could absorb Lu Yunfei's body, his cultivation would definitely increase by another level. Unfortunately, he still had to look after Dongfang Yao, an important target. Otherwise, he would go himself. Yes, junior brother will go now. Su Junqing nodded repeatedly. He understood Xiong Yunhu's meaning very well. If he couldn't bring Lu Yunfei's body back to Xiong Yunhu, he would kill himself. Scram! Xiong Yunhu impatiently waved his hand and sat cross-legged on the floor. He took out a blood bottle from his storage bag and drank a few mouthfuls. Then, he greedily looked at the unconscious Dongfang Yao. If Dongfang Yao wasn't poison and only the Forefather had the antidote, he really wanted to secretly drink a few mouthfuls. After all, with Dongfang Yao's cultivation, every mouthful of blood was essence. Su Junqing obediently left the room. He looked back at Xiong Yunhu's back with eyes full of hatred. If it weren't for the fact that he was too weak right now, he would definitely kill Xiong Yunhu. Once he gets the cultivation technique bestowed by the Forefather, he will definitely trample on these people. Yi Jiuge had been quietly lying by the side. After Su Junqing left, she took out the lightning snake illusionary whip from her waist and dripped blood onto the snake's mouth. She silently said in her heart, demonic power, unseal. After sucking the blood, the lightning snake illusionary whip slowly opened its blood-red eyes. Compared to the previous berserk attacks, the silent lightning snake illusionary whip was much more dangerous. It was silent and undetectable, like a poisonous snake hiding in the grass, ready to deal a fatal blow at any time. Yi Jioge didn't hastily attack. She only had one chance. She had to find the right time and hit the target. Although Xiong Yunhu was cultivating, he still paid a bit of attention to the situation outside, ready to deal with any sudden incidents. Just as he was about to end his cultivation, he relaxed a little. At this moment, his heart suddenly twitched, startling him so much that he immediately opened his eyes. Every time he felt this kind of palpitation, he would encounter danger. The stronger the palpitation, the heavier the danger. In his early years, when he hadn't finished cultivating the blood sea technique, he often had this feeling. But ever since he killed the obstacle in front of him and became the eldest disciple of the bloodthirsty ancestor, he didn't have palpitation anymore. Xiong Yunhu didn't dare to underestimate his intuition for danger, so he immediately raised his guard. Suddenly, a wave of extremely terrifying spirit energy exploded from behind him, accompanied by a faint demonic aura. It covered the sky and drowned him. Xiong Yunhu immediately activated the red protective light and dashed to the side. But the attack was too fast and too close. He didn't have a chance to dodge. The red protective light just rose up and was smashed. Xiong Yunhu felt like a sharp blade had stabbed into his back. The huge force shook his internal organs, causing his blood energy to surge. His body flew up involuntarily, creating a big hole in the wall. After Yi Jioge attacked, the hidden aura was automatically removed. Although that attack had used up most of her spirit energy, she still didn't dare to relax. The lightning snake illusionary whip rose again, turning into a purple lightning snake that lashed at Xiong Yunhu. Boom! This time, it hit a thick cloud of blood mist. Xiong Yunhu stood up from the wall in a sorry state. His shirt was destroyed by the attack just now, revealing his body covered in blood. Especially his back, there was a huge scorched black scar. It was so deep that bones could be seen, and it was extremely hideous. It covered more than half of his back, and even his internal organs could be vaguely seen. Yi Jioge, why is it you? Aren't you wearing the spirit forbidden hoop? Xiong Yunhu never thought that Yi Jioge would sneak attack him from behind. Yi Jioge saw that Xiong Yunhu had already activated his defense, so it was impossible for him to sneak attack again. She said to provoke him, "You can't even guess why I'm here. You deserve to be killed." Chapter 200. It's Su Junqing, right? That bastard dared to trick me. Xiong Yunhu's face twisted. Now that Dong Fangya had fallen and Lu Yunfei was dead, Su Junqing only needed to kill him to take all the credit. If he knew this would happen, he would have killed that bastard first. Yi Jioge raised her eyebrows. She didn't expect Xiong Yunhu to think of Su Junqing, but it was better if they fought each other. Thus, she laughed mockingly and continued acting, "Since you already know the truth, don't think of going back alive. You think you can kill me with this?" Xiong Yunhu roared fiercely. "I've already destroyed your organs. You're just an arrow at the end of its flight. Just obediently accept your death and I'll leave your corpse intact." Yi Jioge's attitude was arrogant, but she was actually terrified. The lightning snake illusionary whip's attack just now was no joke. If it was someone else, they would have been blasted into pieces. She didn't expect Xiong Yunhu to still be able to talk to her so energetically. "I want to see who dies first." Xiong Yunhu sneered and took out a blood pearl from his storage bag and swallowed it. Yi Jioge felt something was wrong and couldn't help but take a few steps back. After Xiong Yunhu ate the blood pearl, a strange red light spread out from his body. The wounds on his body and the hideous wound on his back immediately recovered. His aura exploded and blood mist shrouded his body. The smell of blood was so thick that it made people want to vomit. He was like a monster that crawled out of a pool of blood. "You're not his match. Let's go." Zishang grabbed Yi Jioga's hand and prepared to escape. Wait. Yi Jioga looked at Xiong Yunhu, who was covered in blood, and had an idea. She raised her lightning snake illusionary whip and attacked Xiong Yunhu again. The purple lightning snake landed on Xiong Yunhu's head. He revealed a terrifying smile and his bloody hands pinched the purple lightning snake like he was pinching a bug. He pulled hard and the purple lightning dissipated. Yi Jioga's face instantly paled. This Xiong Yunhu was too terrifying. After using the blood pearl, he had already reached the realm of a spirit master. Go die. After Xiong Yunhu crushed Yi Jioga's purple lightning snake, he grinned fiendishly and stretched out his hand. The bloody mist condensed into two bloody hands that covered her head. Yi Jioga wanted to escape, but he discovered that Xiong Yunhu's blood mist had locked onto him, and he was unable to move. At the critical moment, Zishang grabbed Yi Jioga's waist and quickly retreated. They broke through the wall and left the room. Xiong Yunhu was stunned. He never expected that someone would rescue Yi Jioga right under his nose. He was already on the verge of exploding, and now he was even more enraged. With a roar, he gave chase. Yi Jioga jumped onto the highest floor of the alchemy pavilion and shouted with all his might, "The evil cultivator Xiong Yunhu is plotting to kill Master Dongfang, quickly protect him." It was midnight, and the whole city was under martial law. Everything was quiet. Yi Jioga's voice exploded like a clap of thunder, resounding through the clouds. Not only was the entire alchemy pavilion alarmed, even the commoners in the city couldn't help but come out to see what was going on. After Yi Shanshan was awakened by Yi Jioga's voice, she immediately put on her clothes and rushed to Yi Yushuan's side. She asked in bewilderment, "Father, didn't you say that big sister was locked in the dungeon with the spirit forbidden hoop? How did she escape?" "Who knows how she escaped? Go find the crown prince, I'll go take a look." Yi Yushuan's expression was extremely ugly. He had a premonition that something bad must have happened. "Father, you must be careful," Yi Shanshan worriedly warned. "Go quickly." After Yi Yushuan finished speaking, he swung his sleeves and left. Yi Shanshan immediately went to the Rising Heaven Pavilion to find the Crown Prince. Just as she entered the courtyard, she heard his angry voice, "Where did Su Junqing go?" "Your Highness, this subordinate brought people to search the entire alchemy pavilion, but we couldn't find young Master Su. The guards also said that they didn't see him leave." The guard leader reported in fear and trepidation. Continue searching for him for me." The Crown Prince's face was ashen. He wanted nothing more than to tear Su Junqing's corpse into 1,000 pieces. Yi Shanshan leaned against the door and advised from afar, "Your Highness, please calm down. Don't get angry and harm your body. Speak, did you release Yi Jioga?" The Crown Prince's nostrils spewed hot air as he uncontrollably grabbed Yi Shanshan and roared. "Your Highness, our Yi mansion has already severed all ties with Yi Jioga. How could we release her? My father has already gone to the alchemy pavilion to capture her. Before he left, he specifically told me to find your Highness for help." Yi Shanshan was so scared that her entire body was trembling as she quickly explained. The Crown Prince's chest violently heaved a few times. Finally, he suppressed his anger and roared, "Someone, go to the alchemy pavilion." Outside the alchemy pavilion, Yi Yushuan and Gong Honglei bumped into each other. "Grandmaster Yi, this Yi Jioga couldn't have been released by you, right?" Gong Honglei said half-jokingly and half-seriously. He didn't know that Yi Yushuan and Yi Jioga's relationship was bad, so he used a normal father-daughter relationship to measure it. He felt that Yi Yushuan couldn't just watch his own daughter go to jail. "If I released her, then I'll be struck by lightning and die a horrible death," Yi Jioga replied in a bad mood. Gong Honglei was shocked. He didn't expect Yi Yushuan to swear such a deadly oath. He immediately felt a bit awkward and quickly changed the topic. "Forget it, we'll know who released her once we catch her." "That's right." Yi Yushuan also wanted to know who else in the alchemy pavilion would dare to help Yi Jioga. The two of them walked side by side towards the alchemy pavilion. Just as they arrived at the door, they heard the panicked shouts of the guards inside. Heavens, what is that? Idiot, can't you tell? Of course it's an evil cultivator. But why would this evil cultivator jump out of Grandmaster Dongfang's room and fight with Yi Jioge? Gong Honglei frowned, kicked the door open, and rushed in. In the open space in front of the alchemy pavilion, he saw a tall blood man with evil aura chasing after Yi Jioge. Yi Jioge's body seemed to be pulled by someone, swaying left and right in a mess, but he was always able to escape the blood man's pursuit. What are you looking at? Are your dog eyes blind? Can't you tell who the evil cultivator is? Yi Jioge dodged while pointing at the guards and scolding, Grandmaster Dongfang really raised you for nothing. It's not enough that you let a wolf into the house, you see the real culprit and you don't dare to catch him. When Grandmaster wakes up one day, he'll definitely twist all your heads off and kick them around like balls. The guards were all dumbfounded. Yi Jioge was the target that the Crown Prince and Zhang Peng had personally ordered to capture. If they helped her, wouldn't that be a rebellion? But that blood man was really too strange. What are you still standing there for? Capture that blood man and Yi Jioge for me. Gong Honglei shouted. Only then did the guards come back to their senses. They raised their weapons and rushed forward. However, they all rushed towards Yi Jioge. That blood man was too scary. He could shatter a large rock with one palm. Going against him was simply courting death. Yi Jioge was so angry that he almost vomited blood. These guards were simply stirring shit. No, the real shit stirrer was Gong Honglei. Chapter 201. Yi Jioge once again dodged Xiong Yunhu and the guards' attacks. He turned his head and cursed at Gong Honglei, Gong Honglei, you blind dog. How dare you say you're from the Spiritualist Alliance? I think you're more like someone from the bloodthirsty sect. If your younger sister knew about this, she would definitely regret having a blind older brother. Shut up, all of you step down. Gong Honglei roared, ordering the guards who were causing trouble to step down. Although he was certain that Yi Jioge was his sister's murderer, the scene in front of him made the bloody man look like a heretic cultivator. Yi Jioge knew that even if he escaped, he could catch him again. However, he had to take down this bloody man immediately. Gong Honglei instantly made his decision. He pulled out the 6-yang sword on his back and infused spirit energy into it. Golden spirit energy pierced through the sword, giving off a piercing light that seemed to cut through the air and pierce towards the bloody man. Xiong Yunhu didn't care about Gong Honglei's sword gleam and sent out a blood mist to block it. He didn't expect the golden sword gleam to be so tyrannical. Not only did it pierce through the blood mist, it pierced through his palm and stabbed into his chest. Ao ao ao. Xiong Yunhu let out a crazy roar after being heavily injured. The blood mist on his body condensed into a head-sized ball that exploded on Gong Honglei's body and sent him flying. Yi Jioge hid on the side like a wild beast. While Xiong Yunhu was dealing with Gong Honglei, a lightning snake illusionary whip whipped towards the sword wound on his chest. She had already sealed the demon artifact, so the lightning snake illusionary whip was only an ordinary totem. Although it wasn't as strong as the demon artifact, the lightning energy it contained had a certain restraining effect on Xiong Yunhu. The purple lightning snake landed on Xiong Yunhu's chest, widening the wound. Xiong Yunhu had been chasing Yi Jioge for a long time and was about to go crazy. Now that he was heavily injured again, he immediately roared in anger. He took out a blood bead from his storage bag and swallowed it. Not good, quickly kill him or you won't be able to escape. Yi Jioge shouted. One blood bead was enough for Xiong Yunhu to reach Spirit Master level. Now that he swallowed another one, it would be even more dangerous. Yi Yuxuan had been watching the battle from the side. When he heard this, he frowned and silently walked towards the door. He had only come here to take care of the evil girl Yi Jioge. He did not want to get involved in this mess. Most importantly, he instinctively felt that the bloody man was very dangerous. He was no match for him, so it was better for him to escape first. At this moment, Xiong Yunhu, who had swallowed the 2 blood pearls, had undergone a shocking transformation. His muscles suddenly swelled up, and his entire body swelled up. The skin and flesh on his body ruptured and blood spurted out. The blood did not flow along his muscles to the ground. Instead, it fused into his protective blood mist. The blood mist spread wildly, instantly enveloping the entire alchemy pavilion. Yi Yuxuan was startled. He immediately activated his defensive spirit light and rushed toward the door, but he was bounced back by a ray of blood-red light. No one wants to leave here today. Xiong Yunhu's round eyes were bloodshot, and a terrifying light flashed in his pupils. His voice was hoarse like a crazed beast, filled with a bloodthirsty and violent aura. Countless small blood-colored bells condensed in the blood mist and flew to Xiong Yunhu's body, looking very funny. Zi Shang hugged Yi Jioga and whispered in her ear, "Be careful, this blood mist is strange." Of course. Yi Jioga nervously stared at the blood-colored bells on Xiong Yunhu's body. Before she even finished speaking, the blood-colored bells began to shake crazily. Waves of demonic sounds pierced her ears. It was as if countless ants had drilled into her flesh and blood and were gnawing at her. Yi Jioga trembled in discomfort. In the next moment, a cold aura drilled into her body from Zi Shang's palm, and like a river bursting through a dam, it sent the ants flying. The rest were devoured by the white bone fire in her dantian. Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei were not as lucky as Yi Jioga. They could only tremble and cover their ears, desperately resisting the demonic sound. It was fine for the 2 of them with high cultivation, but the guards who were only elementary spiritualists were in trouble. They let out shrill screams and exploded on the spot. Ha ha ha! Xiong Yunhu laughed crazily. He opened his mouth and sucked in the flesh and blood of the guards. He even licked his lips with relish. Yi Jioga looked at Xiong Yunhu's blood-red tongue, and goosebumps rose all over her body. Compared to Xiong Yunhu's move, Lu Yunfei's blood bells were like heavenly music. Grandmaster Yi Jioga, we must work together to take down this evil cultivator today. Otherwise, I'm afraid our lives will be in danger. Gong Honglei calmed his surging blood and looked at Xiong Yunhu vigilantly. He, didn't you say that I'm the leader of the evil cultivators and wanted to arrest me and execute me on the spot? Why do you want to cooperate with me now? Aren't you afraid that if word gets out, people will say that you're an accomplice of the evil cultivators? Yi Jioga sneered and mocked without holding back. Yi Jioga, don't be too proud. Even if this Xiong Yunhu is really an evil cultivator, it's hard to say that you're not his accomplice. Maybe you're not even dividing the spoils and are trying to take advantage of him. Gong Honglei scolded. According to what you said, I shouldn't help you even more. Yi Jioga was really angered by Gong Honglei's words. If you don't want to help, then don't. Gong Honglei angrily raised his sword and flew towards Xiong Yunhu. He was able to join the Spiritualist Alliance not only because of the Gong family's background, but also because of his talent in swordsmanship. He was already a level 2 sword master and had a certain level of mastery in the gunmetal sword technique. Under the same cultivation level, sword cultivators were the strongest, which was why he had such a fiery temper. I'll help you. After Yi Yuxuan was unable to break through the blood mist several times, he had already understood the situation. If they didn't kill this evil cultivator, they wouldn't be able to leave this place. He decisively took out a palm-sized fire gourd, which contained the flames he had collected over the years. Although it couldn't compare to the spiritual fire of heaven and earth, it was still very magical. If it wasn't for the fact that the situation was critical, he wouldn't have taken it out. Yi Yuxuan injected spirit power into the fire gourd, and a greenish-red flame shot out, stabbing towards Xiong Yunhu along with Gong Honglei's sword light. The golden sword light with the greenish-red flame broke through the thick blood mist and rushed forward with an unstoppable momentum. Seeing this, Yi Jioga hurriedly controlled the Thunder Snake illusionary whip to follow behind them. It's useless, save some spirit power. Zi Shang said lazily. In such a tense situation, he was like an outsider, covering his mouth and yawning from time to time. If you don't want to help, then forget it. Don't pour cold water on me. Yi Jiuge scolded. Not only was Zishang not angry, he even said lewdly, "Fine, fine, you can speak if you have big breasts." Chapter 202. Sarcasm. This was blatant sarcasm. Although Yi Jiuge had started to develop recently, she was still far from having big breasts. If not for the situation being dire, Yi Jiuge really wanted to beat Zishang to death. Unfortunately, she was no match for him. In her anger, Yi Jiuge turned her humiliation into strength and whipped a purple lightning snake at Xiong Yunhu. Insignificant tricks, you dare to be impudent. Xiong Yunhu waved her hands and dispersed Yi Jiuge's purple lightning snake. Yi Jiuge's whip was just to make up the numbers. What was truly effective were Yi Yushuan's flames and Gong Honglei's sword rays. Unexpectedly, the blood mist on Xiong Yunhu's body surged out and extinguished Yi Yushuan's azure flames like a flood. Yi Yushuan's face paled and he took 2 steps back. Although he had held back in his attack just now, he was still extremely shocked that he had been defeated so easily. Fortunately, Gong Honglei's 6-yang sword was still flying. Xiong Yunhu stretched out his blood-red hand towards the 6-yang sword. The golden sword ray twisted like a fish and nimbly dodged Xiong Yunhu's hand. Yi Jiuge's eyes lit up when she saw Gong Honglei's sword ray break through the defense. Go! Gong Honglei shouted and controlled the 6-yang sword to stab at Xiong Yunhu's eyes. Unexpectedly, Xiong Yunhu suddenly opened his mouth and bit the 6-yang sword. There was a cracking sound. The sound of the sword breaking could be heard. Xiong Yunhu actually bit Gong Honglei's 6-yang sword into pieces. The 6-yang sword was connected to Gong Honglei's aura, so the sword's destruction also damaged his vitality. His face was pale as he staggered back a few steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. Ha ha ha, I want to taste what a sword cultivator tastes like. Xiong Yunhu chewed the 6-yang sword and spat it to the side. The large palm flew towards Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei took out a stack of talismans and threw them at the large palm. Boom! 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 Unfortunately, to Xiong Yunhu, the damage from these low-level talismans was less than that of a mosquito. Seeing the large palm approaching, Gong Honglei couldn't help but widen his eyes as despair filled his heart. Yi Yushuan saw that the situation was bad and hurriedly controlled the fire gourd to shoot out several azure flames to block Xiong Yunhu. He knew very well that if Gong Honglei died, he would be next. Humph, a mere alchemist dares to stop me? Die! The bloody mist around Xiong Yunhu's body surged again, and he extinguished Yi Yushuan's flames with a single palm strike. Cracks immediately appeared on Yi Yushuan's fire gourd, causing him to almost vomit blood in pain. Gong Honglei was about to fall into Xiong Yunhu's hands. At the critical moment, a soft whip wrapped around Gong Honglei's waist and pulled him to the side. Gong Honglei's body slammed into a tree and slumped down weakly. Fallen leaves covered his head and face. He was sure that Yi Jiuge did it on purpose. However, even if brother Yi Jiu had done it on purpose, he wouldn't dare criticize him. With his previous bad attitude towards Yi Jiuge saving his life was already merciful. If he wanted her to treat him gently, then he must be daydreaming. Jiuge, let's talk about our past grudges when we get out of here. If you have a way to deal with this evil cultivator, hurry up and say it. At this critical moment, Yi Yushuan didn't dare to sell his father's dignity and pleaded. If I had a way, I wouldn't be trapped here, Yi Jiuge replied snappily. Although she didn't have a way, she knew that Zishang definitely had a way. The situation was critical, so she could only plead with Zishang in a low voice, please, help me one more time. If she let Xiong Yunhu escape, not only would there be endless trouble in the future, but she would also not be able to clear her name. I said that I only have a third of my demon power left, Zishang said coldly. Yi Jiuge bit her lower lip. This Xiong Yunhu was extremely dangerous after swallowing the blood beads, so she didn't dare ask Zishang to take the risk for her. If she couldn't do it, then she could only escape first. If she left now, she could still get help and have a chance to save Master Dongfang. As for Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei, they could only blame their bad luck for not trusting her. Yi Jioge made up her mind. Just as she was about to ask Zishang to take her away, she heard him say, "Although I only have a third of my demon power left, if you agree to one of my conditions, I will have a chance to recover all my demon power." What condition? Yi Jioge's spirit was lifted. She knew that Zishang wouldn't be so useless. "I heard that a woman's primordial yin is a great tonic." As Zishang spoke, his pair of peach blossom eyes floated towards Yi Jioge. His meaning was self-evident. Yi Jioge was speechless. In the end, this demon snake was still thinking about her body. She wasn't afraid of thieves stealing, but she was afraid of thieves remembering. Forget it, since she couldn't keep it, it was better to give it away earlier. Yi Jioge clenched her teeth and said decisively, "Fine, I'll give you my primordial yin." So straightforward. Zishang raised his eyebrows in surprise. He had flirted with her so many times, but this little girl refused to comply even if he beat her to death. "But I have a condition. I have to wait until I'm 18. Yi Jioge saw Zishang frown and added, "I'll be 18 in a month. It won't be hard to wait, right?" "Okay, I promise you." A month was indeed not hard to wait. In any case, Zishang didn't want to eat her immediately. "Also, you have to tell me in advance before sleeping. I can't suddenly fall down." Yi Jioge said very seriously, "The first time, I have to make some preparations." This time, Zishang was a bit speechless. Shouldn't an ordinary girl blush when talking about this? How could Yi Jioge casually talk about sleeping? He was really too unreserved. However, he liked Yi Jioge's unreserved taste. "What, you still want to use force?" Yi Jioge frowned. If Zishang had such a perverted hobby, then she would definitely not accompany him. "If I don't use force, how can I do it?" Zishang couldn't help but laugh. Those peach blossom eyes floated around, almost drilling into Yi Jioge's heart. "Rogue!" Yi Jioge rolled her eyes. She was sure that Zishang was just teasing her. Forget it, there was still a month. Let's talk about this bed problem later. Just when Yi Jioge and Zishang seemed to be talking about conditions, they were actually flirting. Yi Yuxuan had already been beaten to the point of pissing his pants by Xiong Yunhu. He cried for his parents and said, "Jioge, are you listening to me?" "No." Yi Jioge coldly replied. She had no feelings for this scumbag father. "You." Yi Yuxuan almost blurted out the words "sinful girl." Fortunately, he still knew that he was asking for help. He swallowed the words in his throat and then said pitifully, "Jioge, no matter what, I'm still your father. Do you really want to watch me die?" With that, he hurriedly rolled and dodged Xiong Yunhu's attack. Chapter 203. Before Yi Jioge could reply to Yi Yuxuan, Xiong Yunhu had already started laughing out loud. "Yi Yuxuan, oh Yi Yuxuan, it's hard for you to claim to be a pill Dao master. Your skin is actually so thick. Previously, you were shouting and shouting at the city gate, calling her a sinful girl. Now, you're actually asking her to save your life." He could have killed Yi Yuxuan a long time ago. Right now, he was just teasing him to vent his anger. TSK, this Xiong Yunhu spoke too well. I don't even have the heart to kill him. Yi Jioge sighed regretfully. Xiong Yunhu laughed arrogantly and said, "Yi Yuxuan, don't worry. I will definitely bring your evil daughter back to our ancestor to love her." Yi Jioge immediately changed her mind. Forget it, the weather is cold, let him die. She hated those scumbags who kept saying that women were playthings. "Let's wait a little longer," Zishang said calmly. "What are you waiting for?" Yi Jioga didn't understand. There is a time limit for his blood beads. It won't be too late to kill him after he's done playing with him, Zi Shang said coolly. I can wait, but you must protect Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei's lives. That way, my contribution will be doubled, Yi Jioga added. Otherwise, if the people of Alchemy City rushed in and saw a pile of corpses, they would blame her again. Sure, Zi Shang said indifferently. In his eyes, Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei were just two ants. Since Xiao Jioga said he would stay, then he would. I've played enough. Die. Xiong Yunhu naturally knew that his blood transformation time was limited. However, he felt that the overall situation was under his control and that no one in Alchemy City was his opponent. This was why he was in the mood to tease Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei. Seeing that it was almost time, and the two of them were already half dead, it was time to call it a day. With this thought in mind, Xiong Yunhu shot out two extremely viscous blood swords that flew towards Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei. These two blood swords were even more powerful than Lu Yunfei. As long as one was scratched by it, they would immediately turn into two streams of blood and be sucked into the Xiong Yunhu's stomach. Yi Yuxuan collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. He no longer had the strength to dodge the blood sword. Gong Honglei barely raised his arm, but unfortunately, that bit of spirit force couldn't stop the blood sword at all. Quick, save him. Yi Jioga anxiously pulled Zi Shang's sleeve and said, if they die, then don't blame me for breaking the contract. What's the hurry? Zi Shang rolled his eyes at Yi Jioga. He lazily raised his hand and opened and closed his jade-white palm. An incomparably powerful aura shot out from his palm. Two whooshing sounds were heard. Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei's bodies were like marionettes, flying diagonally backwards. Two blood-red swords pierced through the place where they had just been, creating two large holes. Yi Yuxuan's eyes lit up. He knew that Yi Jioga had saved him. Just as he was about to speak, the world suddenly spun around him, and one of his nostrils seemed to be pierced by something. He took a closer look and found that Gong Honglei's finger was stuck in his nostril, and his smelly foot was right next to Gong Honglei's mouth. The vines wrapped around them tightly and hung them upside down. Such a difficult pose was definitely done by someone with malicious intent. Vulgar. Yi Jioga looked at Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei, who were sticking their noses in and smelling their stinky feet. He didn't want to admit that he felt a little refreshed. Who's there? Xiong Yunhu didn't expect that there would be someone hiding under the blood mist, and that he hadn't discovered them. At this moment, he remembered that when he was chasing after Yi Jioga, she was also saved by a mysterious person. Xiong Yunhu, you've done all sorts of evil. You colluded with Su Junqing to frame me, and you even caused the deaths of so many people. Surrender. Yi Jioga shouted arrogantly. You think you can make me surrender? Tui. Xiong Yunhu looked berserk on the surface, but his palm moved slightly in secret. An extremely viscous blood mist turned into a poisonous snake, and under the cover of the blood mist, it silently flew towards Yi Jioga. Bang! The blood snake exploded on the spot before it could even get close to Yi Jioga. Xiong Yunhu's heart palpitated again. This time, it was as if a large hand was tightly squeezing his heart. He had never felt like this before. It was the despair of dying. He instantly knew that the mysterious person behind Yi Jioga was not someone he could deal with. He immediately roared, and the blood mist around his body turned into countless sharp swords that shot towards Yi Jioga like a torrential storm. This was his final trump card, the myriad blood arrow. He usually used it to kill his enemies, but this time, he used it to escape. Xiong Yunhu didn't even dare to look at the result of using this move. He turned around and rushed towards Dongfang Yao's room. Although it was a pity that he couldn't bring Yi Jioga and the two blood-clothed Miao people back, as long as he brought Dongfang Yao back, he would have completed his mission. He believed that the ancestor wouldn't blame him. Xiong Yunhu's plan was very clear, but before he could fly into Dongfang Yao's room, a strange and powerful force attacked him from behind. He suddenly turned around to meet it with his palm, but it was as if he had hit the air. Be obedient, don't make this sovereign waste his demon power. An ethereal and pleasant voice rang out. Following this, a beautiful and seductive face appeared in the air. Black hair like ink, red lips like blood, and a demonic smile. Especially those pitch-black eyes, which were shrouded in a mysterious light. Those pupils gradually shrank, turning into purple vertical pupils. Countless tiny pupils spun around in his eyes, like a kaleidoscope, dazzling and enchanting. Xiong Yunhu was attracted by those bewitching purple pupils, and he couldn't help but say, "Okay. Good child." Zishang smiled slightly, and his black fingernails grew and suddenly slashed across Xiong Yunhu's neck. With a plop, Xiong Yunhu's head rolled down from his neck. Fresh blood spurted out, dyeing the entire door red and forming a river. Zishang stood in this blood, and looked back at Yi Jioge with a smile. His beautiful jade-like face was still stained with a drop of Xiong Yunhu's blood. He looked so beautiful, so moving, bloodthirsty, and seductive, it was simply shocking. His beauty carried a heavy killing intent and the domineering aura of a powerhouse that said, "Submit to me and prosper, or oppose me and perish." He attacked Yi Jioge from all directions, leaving her nowhere to run. Yi Jioge's little heart was about to shrink. Why did she feel that after Zishang transformed into his human form, he was even more demonic and terrifying than before when he was in his half-snake form? "Fortunately, I didn't fail you." Zishang returned to Yi Jioge's side. He placed his right hand on his chest, and slightly bowed, as if he was reporting to his own leader. Yi Jioge came back to her senses, and only then did she realize that Zishang killed the terrifying Xiong Yunhu in one move. She instantly felt like she was tricked, and couldn't help but shout, "Didn't you say that you only have 1/3 of your demon power left?" Yes, after killing that Xiong Yunhu, this sovereign didn't have any demon power left. Zishang blinked innocently, and then raised his hand to support his forehead. His body swayed and fell on Yi Jioge's body, and said weakly, "Aya, I can't take it anymore, this sovereign is so dizzy, quickly support me." Chapter 204. Keep pretending. Yi Jioge pushed him twice, but he couldn't push Zishang away. He could only resign himself to his fate and let him stay. "Don't you want to see your spoils?" He didn't forget to give Yi Jioge some benefits. "Oh right." Yi Jioge's eyes brightened as he took Xiong Yunhu's storage pouch. As the head disciple of the Bloodthirst School, this guy must have a lot of good stuff. Yi Jioge had to take a good look later. Yi Jioge put away Xiong Yunhu's pouch and entered the room to check on Grandmaster Dongfang. Xiong Yunhu's blood mist was broken with his death. The Crown Prince, Yi Shanshan, and Gong Honglei's men, as well as the fourth-ranked alchemists from Alchemy City, Elder Chen and Elder Shao, all rushed in. The originally beautiful alchemy pavilion had turned into hell. The ground was littered with broken limbs and the stench of blood was nauseating. "Grandmaster Yi and young Master Gong are over there." Elder Chen's sharp eyes immediately saw the half-dead Yi Yuxuan and Gong Honglei hanging from a tree. "Grandmaster Yi, young Master Gong, are you two all right?" Everyone rushed to save them. "Brother Honglei, where did Yi Jioge go?" The Crown Prince squeezed in front of Gong Honglei and asked while reaching out to help him. Gong Honglei avoided the Crown Prince's hand and stood up with his trusted sword boy's shoulder. He coldly said, "Young Miss Yi is protecting Grandmaster Dongfang. If it wasn't for her, Grandmaster Yi, Grandmaster Dongfang, and I would have been dead by now." "What did you say?" "Yi Jioge was protecting Grandmaster Dongfang and she even saved you? Are you joking?" The Crown Prince raised his voice, wondering if Gong Honglei's head was broken. "I'm not joking, Yi Jioge is not the leader of the heretics. She has always been protecting us, Grandmaster Dongfang, and all of Alchemy City. On the other hand, Dongfang Jianming, you are the one who is distorting the truth and putting the blame on Yi Jioge. You misled me to deal with her and almost killed a good person." Gong Honglei roared at the Crown Prince. Gong Honglei, who are you talking to? The crown prince's face turned red from anger. Other than his father, no one dared to call him by his name. Of course I know who I'm talking to. You're the B*TCH who let Xiong Yunhu in and caused Master Dongfang to be poisoned. What the F*CK are your intentions? Gong Honglei was still scared when he recalled the scene just now. He was so close to dying on the spot. He was about to lose his life, so why would he care about who the crown prince was? Of course, he would scold him as he pleased. The crown prince was so enraged by Gong Honglei that his face and neck turned red. He loosened and clenched his fists, on the verge of exploding. Alright, everyone, stop talking. Xiong Yunhu is extremely well hidden, and His Highness the Crown Prince didn't let him in on purpose. Let's hurry up and go in to see Master Dongfang. Yi Yuxuan struggled to stand up. Father, is it really Yi, no, big sister who killed that evil cultivator and saved you? Yi Shanshan and the Crown Prince stood at the entrance of the alchemy pavilion. That blood-red light was extremely terrifying. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't blast it away. One could only imagine how terrifying the evil cultivator who laid down this layer of bloody light was. She did not believe that Yi Jioge could kill such an evil cultivator. If Yi Jioge really had that kind of ability, he wouldn't have been forced to surrender. Although she didn't personally kill him, the expert who did it must have a great relationship with her. When you go in later, you must be very respectful. Don't anger the expert. Yi Yuxuan warned Yi Shanshan sternly. He was hanging upside down on the tree just now, so he couldn't see very clearly. He only saw a purple shadow flash where Yi Jioge was, and 5 breaths later, Xiong Yunhu's head fell to the ground. The whole process happened in the blink of an eye, so fast that it was unimaginable. It was like a dream. He didn't see the expert's appearance clearly. He only saw Yi Jioge casually put away Xiong Yunhu's storage bag. Only then did he believe that the expert and Yi Jioge had an affair, or else he wouldn't have allowed her to plunder his spoils of war. Yes, I understand. Yi Shanshan replied obediently. An expert that even her father admired was definitely not a simple person. If she tried to rope him in, he would definitely be of great use. Master Yi, is that expert really that powerful? The crown prince had been rejected by Gong Honglei, so he could only come to Yi Yuxuan to inquire about the news. Young Master Gong and I were beaten by Xiong Yunhu without any ability to fight back. That expert made Xiong Yunhu's head fall to the ground in one move. Do you think he's powerful? Yi Yuxuan said with emotion. If he had known that Yi Jioge knew such an expert, he definitely wouldn't have kicked Yi Jioge out of the house. However, since Yi Jioge was willing to save him, it meant that she still cared about their father-daughter relationship. No matter what, he was still her father. As long as he coaxed her a bit, she should let bygones be bygones. Yi Yuxuan was busy calculating, so he didn't notice the crown prince's panicked expression and guilty eyes. Su Junqing used the excuse that Xiong Yunhu was a level 2 alchemist and was very good at curing strange poisons, so he asked the crown prince to recommend him to take care of Master Dongfang. At that time, Old Chen and Old Xiao strongly objected, feeling that they shouldn't let outsiders take care of Master Dongfang. It was because of his solemn pledge that Old Chen and Old Xiao allowed Xiong Yunhu to enter the alchemy pavilion. Now that Xiong Yunhu's identity as an evil cultivator was exposed, he and Su Junqing would be in danger. In that case, Su Junqing didn't disappear at all, but ran away when he found out that the matter was exposed. That damned piece of trash had really caused him so much trouble. Gong Honglei was already suspicious of the crown prince, so he had been secretly observing his expression. Seeing that his expression changed again and again, without any joy of killing the evil cultivator and finding the real culprit, he knew that the crown prince was guilty. Maybe his sister's death was also related to him. Because when he came to the alchemy city, he personally asked Dongfang Jianming to take care of his sister, and his sister also replied that the crown prince was very close to her. Thinking of this, Gong Honglei wanted to kill Dongfang Jianming. However, after the evil stand just now, he had exhausted his spiritual power, and the 6-yang sword was also destroyed. If he acted rashly, he was afraid that he would beat the grass and alert the enemy. He could only suppress the anger in his heart and coldly said to the crown prince, "Put other things aside, the most important thing now is the safety of Master Dongfang." "Young Master Gong is right, let's quickly go in and see Master Dongfang." Old Chen and Old Xiao quickly nodded. Although they were level 4 alchemists, they usually only cultivated and never cared about worldly things. So after Master Dongfang and Li Zijuan fell, they left everything to the Crown Prince and Zhang Peng to deal with. They didn't expect that the Crown Prince and Zhang Peng would make a mess of things, so they had to personally take care of it. Yi Zhouge nodded perfunctorily, then said to Yi Shanshan, who was completely stunned, "Did you hear that? His name is Yi Zi." Yi Shanshan didn't expect this handsome man to be so loyal to Yi Zhouge. He even wanted her to give him a name. Her heart felt like it was being stabbed by a knife. "So, the master's name is Yi Zi." Yi Yuxuan immediately let out a hearty laugh and said, "Thank you for taking care of my little girl Zhouge. Since you chose to have the same surname as us, we'll be family from now on." "Who's family with you?" "Grandmaster Yi, don't forget that we're no longer related." Yi Zhouge said with a straight face. "Zhouge, what happened before was father's fault. Father already knows that he was wrong. Please forgive father this once." Yi Yuxuan pulled down his old face and begged. "Grandmaster Yi, how could I dare to be angry at you? Even if I'm not angry, you want my life. If I'm really angry, I'll be poisoned to death by you in the middle of the night." Yi Zhouge sneered. "It's all my fault. You can scold me however you want, as long as you're still willing to recognize me as your father." Yi Yuxuan was in a sorry state. He was covered in mud and had a head injury. He used such a humble and pitiful tone to beg Yi Zhouge. Everyone who saw it felt that Yi Zhouge was too heartless. Yi Zhouge was also very helpless against Yi Yuxuan's thick skin. In the past, Yi Yuxuan would fling his sleeves and walk away if he used words to pressure him. Now, he was completely shameless. He wanted to beat him up, but he couldn't find an excuse to do so. It was really sullen. "Zhouge." Yi Yuxuan wanted to continue, but he saw Zishang raise his hand. His body involuntarily flew in front of Zishang. Zishang grasped the air and lifted Yi Yuxuan up. Yi Yuxuan's face turned purple as he struggled with all his might. He grabbed at his neck with both hands, trying to break free from the force that was strangling his neck, but it was useless. "Yi Zi, just teach him a lesson. Don't make it seem like you're resigned to your fate." Yi Zhouge's tone was indifferent, fully showing her heartlessness towards Yi Yuxuan. "Yes." Zishang replied gently. He raised his hand and threw Yi Yuxuan out. Yi Yuxuan flew out like a kite with a broken string. He hung on a tree and fainted. "Father!" Yi Shanshan screamed and pointed at Yi Zhouge angrily. "Big sister, even if father is in the wrong, he is still our father. Have you forgotten the kindness of giving birth to us? How dare you do such a vicious thing to father?" Yi Shanshan's words were stuck in her throat. No matter what she said, she couldn't say it. She looked at Zishang with wide eyes in horror. She couldn't believe that he would treat her like this. "Noisy." Zishang calmly retracted his hand, then looked around and asked softly, "Who else?" The people who were swept by his gaze felt like frogs being stared at by a poisonous snake. They couldn't help but shiver and couldn't say a word. They all shook their heads desperately. What a joke. This was the person who killed Xiong Yunhu in one move. Moreover, he didn't even give face to Yi Zhouge's father, Yi Yuxuan. Who would dare to be impudent in front of him? "Alright, stop scaring people. You're tired. Go and rest." Yi Zhouge patted Zishang's arm in satisfaction. It wouldn't be good if he acted too much and caused public anger. Yes. Zishang gave him face and replied. He restrained his aura and took a step back. He was clearly still standing there, but inexplicably, he didn't seem to exist. An expert. He was definitely an expert. This strange move made Elder Chen, Elder Xiao, and the others even more shocked. They couldn't figure out Zishang's background and were even more afraid of Yi Jioge. Woo! Yi Shanshan, who had been forgotten by everyone, pointed at Yi Jioge and then at her throat, asking Yi Jioge to save her. If you take Grandmaster Yi away now, I will consider giving you a chance to speak. Yi Jioge's tone was very calm, but everyone could hear the threat in it. Yi Shanshan gritted her teeth and looked at Zishang bitterly. In the end, she turned around and took Yi Yuxuan away from the tree. Alright, everyone. Let's talk about Grandmaster Dongfang now. Yi Jioge smiled faintly and turned everyone's attention back to him. Chapter 206. Yes, miss, how is Master Dongfang's injury? Elder Chen and Elder Xiao asked. Master Dongfang has been poisoned by a rare poison. It was created by the ancestor of the bloodthirsty sect using his own blood and the Frost Spider King's poison. I don't have a way to cure it right now. Yi Jioge added, the Frost Spider King's poison is unique to the bloodthirsty sect. Dongfang Ke was poisoned by that very same poison. Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this. Miss Yi, since you can recognize this poison, you must have a way to cure it. As long as you tell us, you can name any condition you want. Elder Chen said anxiously. That's right, young Miss Yi. Grandmaster Dongfang is not only our Alchemy City's city lord, he is also the only 6th-ranked alchemist in our Thunder Country. If anything were to happen to him, our Thunder Country would be shaken. Elder Xiao pleaded with a bitter expression. If Master Dongfang died, Alchemy City would be gone as well. Although I can't cure Master Dongfang's poison, I can help him alleviate it. Yi Jioge said slowly. Please speak, Miss Yi. Elder Chen and Elder Xiao's eyes lit up. But the cure isn't with me, it's with my companions. You guys were so loud last night that they probably won't dare come. It was impossible for Yi Jioge not to hold a grudge after being forced into such a state by his idiotic companions. Miss Yi, we were instigated by scoundrels to blame good people. Please be magnanimous and forgive us. Yes, miss, we're willing to apologize. Miss, Master Dongfang never doubted you. Everyone apologized at the same time. There's no point in begging me. I don't have the cure. Yi Jioge stood up. His clear eyes swept across the crowd and he said coldly, you guys think of a way to invite my companions back. I'll give Master Dongfang the medicine whenever they return. Yi Jioge, how dare you joke around with my uncle's life? Aren't you afraid that he'll blame you later? The Crown Prince said angrily. Worry about yourself. Yi Jioge looked at the Crown Prince as if he was looking at a dead man. You. The Crown Prince wanted to scold him again, but he was stopped by Elder Chen. This is our fault, so we should apologize. Don't worry, eldest Mississippi. We will ask your companions to come back and save Master Dongfang with the most sincere attitude. I'll send someone to post an imperial notice right now to announce the contributions of the young miss and her companion to Alchemy City. That's right, we'll pull up a banner and apologize to the city gate. As long as they forgive us, we'll let them hit us as they please. How can we just talk and not act? I think we should just carry a thorn and ask for punishment. Yes, please accept my humble apology. Elder Chen and Elder Xiao nodded. Offering a humble apology is a good idea, but it depends on who is doing it. Yi Jioge's gaze fell upon the Crown Prince. His meaning was obvious. Audacious. I am the Crown Prince of the Thunder Country. Who dares to ask for my humble apologies? The Crown Prince bellowed out. Your Royal Highness, Why are you still putting on airs at a time like this? He didn't think that Elder Chen and Elder Shao wouldn't be afraid of him at all. On the contrary, they raised their necks and shouted, "If you didn't lead the wolf into the house, Master Dongfang wouldn't have been harmed by a heretic. Let me tell you, asking for a humble apology is a light punishment. If anything happens to Master Dongfang, just wait to see His Imperial Majesty with your head." The Crown Prince was trembling with anger, but he knew that Elder Chen and Elder Shao were telling the truth. His father had many sons. If he were to die, another would be the Crown Prince. However, his uncle was the only sixth-ranked alchemist in the entire Thunder Country. If he were to die, there would be nothing left. Fine, for the sake of saving my uncle, I am willing to offer my humble apology. The Crown Prince was a flexible person, so he immediately lowered his head. Elder Chen and Elder Zhao's expressions softened as they praised, "That's right. When Master Dongfang wakes up, we will tell you everything we did for him." "Thank you." The Crown Prince cupped his hands. He suddenly felt that offering a humble apology wasn't a bad idea. At the very least, it gave him a chance to redeem himself. There's no time to lose. Everyone, please go ahead. Yi Jiuge was determined to follow them. Elder Chen, Elder Shao, and the others were extremely fast. The Imperial Board, banners, and vines were quickly prepared. The Imperial Board was plastered all over the streets and alleys of Alchemy City. There were even soldiers sent to patrol the streets. Everyone, including the Crown Prince, tied the vines around their necks and carried the banners towards the city gate. Outside of Alchemy City, on a small hill, Bai Songling stared at the city gate. His mind was constantly thinking about how to sneak in and save the young miss. "Why don't I go in and take a look?" Yi Yu moved closer to him. "Forget it. Your injuries haven't healed yet. There's no point in going in. Don't go in again. Plus, Xiang still needs your care." Bai Songling shook his head. He wasn't familiar with Luo Tian and Juni Chen, so he was too embarrassed to ask them to take care of him. The treasure-seeking scorpion waved its pincers, wanting to volunteer to go in and take a look. Unfortunately, there was no one here who could understand its beast language, so it was useless even though it was a hero. "Look, there's movement at the top of the wall." Luo Tian stood up and focused his attention on the wall. "It looks like a banner." Bai Songling saw it and nervously said, "Don't tell me they want to threaten us again." "No." Luo Tian's eyesight was good enough to see the words on the banner. He read it out loud, "Young Miss Yi and her companions are the benefactors of Alchemy City. We wrongly accused good people and deserve to die 10,000 times over. We are here to offer our humble apologies." Oh, there really are people carrying vines. Isn't that Elder Chen and Elder Shao, fourth-rank alchemists from Alchemy City? Damn, Dongfang Jianming is here as well. This can't be a trap, right? Bai Songling's group was in a heated discussion. They didn't dare to believe these people until Yi Jiuge's arrogant voice came from the top of the wall. "They have already apologized, everyone, come back. Young Miss is too amazing, how did she do it?" Bai Songling's eyes widened. Last night, they were forced into a miserable state by the Crown Prince and Alchemy City's people. Today, they came to offer their humble apologies. This was too fantastical. If young Miss wasn't amazing, she wouldn't be our young Mississippi, Yi Yu smiled. "Everyone, don't let your guard down. Be careful of traps," Luo Tian cautiously said. After years of being chased, he wouldn't easily trust others under any circumstances. Luo Tian is right. "How about this, Yi Yu, you stay here and take care of Xiang. The three of us will go in and take a look." Bai Songling stuffed Lu Yunfei's storage pouch into Yi Yu's hands. Just as he was about to nag, he heard Yi Jiuge's voice coming from afar. "Why are you all dilly-dallying?" It turned out that Yi Jiuge had been waiting at the top of the wall for a long time. Seeing that Bai Songling's group didn't show up, he simply jumped down to look for them. Zishang casually followed behind Yi Jioge and appeared in front of Bai Songling's group with an arm around her shoulder. Chapter 207. Missy, this is... Yi Yu squinted at Zishang's slender and powerful palm on Yi Jioge's shoulder. Such a possessive posture meant that the relationship between this devilishly handsome man and Missy was not simple. This is Yi Zi, my guard. Yi Jioge's shoulder shook off Zishang's restless claw. She glared at Zishang as a warning. Which guard dared to touch Missy's shoulder? Was he courting death? Zishang's lips curled up, he was well behaved. When did Missy get such a guard? Why haven't we seen him before? Bai Songling looked at Zishang cautiously. Such a devilishly handsome man was definitely not normal. Could he be sent by a heretical cultivator? This is a long story. Yi Jioge scratched his face. He could not possibly say that Zishang was her creditor, right? Missy, there's no hurry. We have plenty of time. Yi Yu's voice was gentle but firm. Bai Songling nodded. Luo Tian and Junichen did not speak, but they were avoiding Zishang. It was obvious that they did not trust him. Yi Jioge had a headache. Looking at Bai Songling's attitude, it would be hard to pass without an explanation. However, Zishang was in the limelight this time. She had to think of a reasonable identity for him, or else it would be troublesome when she returned to Shangjing. She could not help but look at Zishang, hoping that he could give her some hints. Zishang raised his brows as he looked at her, looking like a king waiting for orders. Missy, is there something you can't say? The more Bai Songling looked, the more she felt that something was wrong. Heretical cultivators were extremely cunning, just look at Lu Yunfei. This handsome man called Yi Zi looked like a monster. His skills were probably even more profound. Missy might already be under his control. Bai Songling gave Yi Yu and Luo Tian a look. The three of them moved lightly and surrounded Zishang. At the same time, Xiaohong, Black Tyrant, and Big Mouth flew up. Even the treasure-seeking scorpion quietly crawled under Zishang's feet, preparing to launch an attack. Zishang's rosy lips curled up slightly. His dark eyes flashed with a teasing light. That mischievous look was so charming that Yi Jioge's heart could not help but tremble. He was not charmed, but scared. Zishang's fingers moved slightly, and an imperceptible force spread out. Don't mess around. Yi Jioge widened his eyes and stretched out his hand. Unfortunately, it was too late. The goo worm Xiaohong screeched and flew back to Luo Tian's body like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. Lil Red curled up in Luo Tian's arms and shivered. It cried and said, I'm just a little worm. Black Tyrant and Big Mouth were also so frightened that they squirmed in Yi Yu and Bai Songling's clothes. Black Overlord, what's wrong? Yi Yu frantically pacified his goo worm. Big Mouth, get out here. Big Mouth scurried all over Bai Songling's body. It was so itchy that Bai Songling felt uncomfortable all over. He reached out to grab Big Mouth back. He didn't expect Big Mouth to be so flustered that he went into Bai Songling's pants. Bai Songling was so scared that he almost screamed. Yi Jioge held his forehead and looked at the chaotic scene helplessly. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She lifted her foot and stomped on Zishang's foot. Zishang moved his feet, and Yi Jioge stepped on the head of the treasure-seeking scorpion that had just emerged. The treasure-seeking scorpion wanted to attack, but its master stepped on it. Heartbroken, it flew back to the female scorpion's side to seek comfort. Young miss, who is he? Bai Songling angrily covered Big Mouth's moving mouth. He was actually sent by my grandfather to protect me. After Yi Jioge said this, he suddenly thought of a perfect idea. Grandfather couldn't show himself for some reason, so he sent him to protect me in secret. I was able to recover my cultivation and appearance because of him. He had always been hiding in the dark. This time, because the heretic cultivator is too powerful, I asked him to come out and help. Yi Jioge finished in one breath. Without waiting for Bai Songling and the others to ask, he immediately changed the topic. How is Big Brother Wan? Is he okay? Bai Songling was a straightforward person. She immediately fell for Yi Jioge's trick. She honestly replied, I have already fed him the antidote for the muscle softening powder. He woke up once last night, but now he has fallen asleep again. I'll go take a look. Yi Jioge followed Bai Songling to the back of the small slope. He saw that Wan Xiang was still lying on the stretcher, but his complexion looked much better than yesterday. Yi Jioge felt his pulse again and nodded. He's fine, but his body is still a bit weak. He needs to eat something good to nourish himself. Where can we find something good to nourish him in this damn place? Bai Songling scratched her head. I was about to tell you about this. Grandmaster Dongfang was poisoned by the bloodthirsty Sex King poison. The people from Alchemy City want us to go back and help him detoxify it. Yi Jioge stopped. No wonder they are all holding banners on the city wall asking for forgiveness. Bai Songling suddenly realized. Then let's hurry. Right, young miss, this is your bag. See if anything is missing. Yi Yu took out the bag that Yi Jioge gave her for safekeeping. Yi Jioge glanced around. The fat black rat, the treasure-seeking scorpion couple were all there. The bronze cauldron and other things were also there. She nodded. Nothing is missing. Then, she remembered something else. Right, where is Yu Dai? We secretly sent Yu Dai back to the stronghold of Alchemy City last night. Bai Songling said. It wasn't easy for a group of men to take care of a little girl, so they secretly sent her back. If they hadn't agreed to meet up with Yi Jioge outside the city, they would have wanted to stay in the city. Alright, let's go. Yi Jioge hurried back to Alchemy City with Bai Songling and the others. Elder Chen, Elder Shao, and the Crown Prince were still anxiously waiting on the city wall. When they saw Yi Jioge's group heading straight for the Alchemy Pavilion, they quickly ran down the wall and followed. Yi Jioge returned to Grandmaster Dongfang's house and chased everyone out. Then, she had Bai Songling, Yi Yu, and Luo Tian guard the door, leaving only Juni Chen and Zi Sheng behind. Little Mute, can your goo detoxify Grandmaster Dongfang's poison? Yi Jioge pointed at the master. Juni Chen went forward and carefully examined Grandmaster Dongfang's eyelids. Then, he pricked his finger and tasted the blood. How is it? Yi Jiu was a little nervous. If Little Mute's goo couldn't suppress the Spider King's poison, then she couldn't think of any other way. If it's just the Snow Spider King's poison, my poisonous Earth Dragon goo can still detoxify it. But after adding the blood essence of the bloodthirsty ancestor, it's beyond the range of those goo. Little Mute shook his head. What if I can force out a part of the poison in Grandmaster Dongfang's body? Yi Jioge's Thunderfire Needle could only force out a bit of the poison. The most important part still needed the poisonous Earth Dragon goo to detoxify it. Let's give it a try. Juni Chen looked like he was trying to save a dead horse. Alright, incubate the goo first and get ready. Yi Jioge took out the Thunderfire Needle and pierced it into Grandmaster Dongfang's body. Then, she injected spiritual energy to detoxify the poison. Grandmaster Dongfang's meridians were like mud. The Thunderfire Needle had a hard time moving inside. Yi Jioge had only driven it half a circle, and she was already sweating profusely. Her spiritual energy was running out. She was about to take out a spirit recovery pill. Zi Sheng suddenly reached out and took it. Chapter 208. What are you doing? Yi Jioge reached out to grab the pill. Zi Sheng threw the pill into his mouth and said, I'll give you something better. With that, he placed his palm on Yi Jioge's back and a wave of pure spiritual power surged in. The stilled Thunderfire Needle immediately spurted out like it was injected with chicken blood. It instantly passed through several meridians in Master Dongfang's body. Why are you suddenly helping me? Yi Jioge looked at Zi Sheng vigilantly. This guy was a demon that wouldn't do anything without benefits. It was too suspicious for him to help her for no reason at all. Because I'm in a good mood today, so I'll give you some benefits. Zishang wouldn't tell Yi Jiuge that he was making his presence known. Yi Jiuge still had some doubts, but with Zishang's help, the healing effect was very obvious. She didn't refuse. Soon, the Thunderfire Needle completed one cycle in Master Dongfang's meridians and flew out of his Baihui point. Little mute, use your gu. Yi Jiuge stopped. Juni Chen rolled up his sleeves and a large black dot flew out of his arm. Then it turned into a very beautiful pink caterpillar with a round head and entered Master Dongfang's body. Why is it pink? Yi Jiuge asked in surprise. This is the only mother gu in this batch. If it wasn't for the emergency, he wouldn't have taken it out. He had been raising gu for so many years, but this was the first time he had raised a mother gu. It's pretty. Yi Jiuge was a bit moved. A pink caterpillar was filled with the heart of a girl. It was very suitable for her. Don't talk and watch the old man, Juni Chen said solemnly. The black energy on Master Dongfang's face faded bit by bit. It seemed that the pink caterpillar was starting to work. At this time, Juni Chen suddenly asked, the people from Alchemy City treated you so badly, why did you still save him? First, Master Dongfang has always been helping me. He's not a bad person. Second, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Master Dongfang was hurt so badly by bloodthirsty ancestor that the two are mortal enemies. Helping him is the same as fighting against bloodthirsty ancestor. Yi Jiuge explained simply. You really believe this old man can deal with bloodthirsty ancestor? Juni Chen glanced at Master Dongfang in disdain. No matter how he looked at it, he was defeated so easily by the bloodthirsty sect. He is the only level 6 alchemist in the Thunder Nation. He has friends all over the world. If he can't deal with it, he will find a helper. Yi Jiuge was very confident in the old man Dongfang Yao. You have a point, Juni Chen said thoughtfully. While Yi Jiuge was talking to Juni Chen, his eyes never left Master Dongfang. She found that after the black aura on his face had subsided to his neck, it suddenly surged back at an even faster speed than before, like a flood breaking through a dam. What's going on? Yi Jiuge hurriedly sealed the black gas with a needle and asked Juni Chen. That insect queen can't cure his poison, Juni Chen said coldly. Damn it. Yi Jiuge could not help but bite his lower lip as he subconsciously looked at Zishang. It was said that this guy was in a good mood today. Maybe he would give her an idea for free. Unexpectedly, Zishang's eyelids were half-lidded and his breathing was steady. He had actually fallen asleep while standing. Yi Jiuge looked away gloomily. Sure enough, she could not count on this unreliable guy. She had to rely on herself. Yi Jiuge swallowed a spirit recovery pill and was about to continue using the Thunderfire Needle to detoxify Master Dongfang when she heard Juni Chen say coldly, this old man better be able to deal with the bloodthirsty ancestor. After saying that, his abdomen rose and fell violently. He suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a golden insect. This insect was about the size of a thumb and looked like a beetle. It had the head of an insect, but it had a human face. Upon closer inspection, it looked somewhat similar to Juni Chen. Other than the human face, the black dots on the beetle's wings were also human faces. They were densely packed, layer upon layer, flickering in and out of existence. It was very strange and scary. Is this your natal gu? You even managed to cultivate a human face. Yi Jiuge was shocked. The Bloodcloak Miao tribe's cultivation method was very strange. They focused on the integration of human and gu. They devoted their entire lives to cultivating caterpillars into human-shaped insects. It was said that when the human-shaped insects successfully cultivated, they would become their second incarnation. The body would be indestructible and indestructible, comparable to immortality. TCH, if I hadn't been injured by that dog bloodthirsty ancestor, I wouldn't have just cultivated a human face, I would have cultivated a human head, the natal goose said unhappily as it flapped its wings. That voice was exactly the same as Junie-chen's. After spitting out the natal goo, Junie-chen had become a real mute. He made a gesture to the natal goo with a straight face. What are you rushing me for? I am the king of goo. I usually eat the most poisonous things in the world. Now I have to suck the blood of an old man to detoxify him. How miserable. The natal goo muttered as it flew to Master Dongfang's neck. Then it opened its mouth, revealing its sharp white teeth, and bit down on the blood vessels on the neck. The natal goo's attack was much more powerful than the pink caterpillar. The black gas on Master Dongfang's face dissipated like a receding tide, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. The pink caterpillar wobbled out of Master Dongfang's mouth. Its body had grown 3 times its original size, and it was so fat that it had turned into a pink ball. It flew up and down, and finally fell to the ground with a thud. It bounced and rolled to the corner of the table. It'll be fine, right? Yijioga said as he picked up the round pink caterpillar. It has sucked too much poisonous blood, it can't live. Junie-chen gestured to Yijioga with a straight face. Can you give it a spirit beast pill? Yijioga felt it was a pity. After all, it was a hero, and a rare female insect. It was too trustworthy to die like this. You can try, but the possibility is not high. Junie-chen waved his hand and ignored Yijioga. Then let's try. Yijioga still had a lot of spirit beast pills. He took out 2 and crushed one to feed it. The fat pink caterpillar was already stuffed to death, but when it saw the good stuff, it forced itself to swallow it. His round belly immediately bulged out again, as if he had a hernia. Yijioga was really afraid that it would die. After feeding it one, he put away the other one. Then, he stretched out his fingers and massaged its belly to help it absorb. The pink caterpillar showed a comfortable expression, and with its fat belly, it fell asleep. After eating and sleeping, this pink caterpillar was quite carefree. Yijioga smiled and massaged the pink caterpillar while watching Junie-chen detoxify Master Dongfang. Chapter 209. Junie-chen's body didn't move, but his abdomen kept vibrating, making strange noises. The life-bound goo's winged face revealed a ferocious expression, as if it was in great pain. It absorbed the blood faster and faster, and the black gas on Master Dongfang's body decreased. But in that place in his heart, there was always a soybean-sized piece of black gas stuck there. Junie-chen's face became paler and paler, his face covered in sweat. It was obvious that using the life-bound goo was a huge burden on him. Yijioga opened her spirit eye and looked at Master Dongfang's chest, only to see the black gas stuck to the top of his heart meridian. She took out her thunderfire needle and stabbed it, releasing a small purple electric current. The ball of black chi bounced off. The life-bound goo took the opportunity to suck harder, sucking out a drop of dark red blood from Master Dongfang's neck. The drop of blood was very strange, it was in the shape of a heart. After it was sucked out, it wriggled and tried to escape, but was swallowed by the life-bound goo. Hee hee, bloodthirsty old man, you didn't think I would be waiting for you here. The life-bound goo chuckled and flew back into Junie-chen's abdomen. What's up with that drop of blood? Yijioga finally figured it out. Junie-chen helping Master Dongfang detoxify was fake, he just wanted to suck that drop of blood. That's bloodthirsty old man's life-bound blood essence, it's very important for him to cultivate the bloodthirsty great art. The life-bound goo replied proudly in Junie-chen's stomach. The reason why bloodthirsty old man was willing to take out this drop of blood essence to make poison was because he had to get Master Dongfang. Unfortunately, no matter how much he calculated, he never expected that Junie-chen would appear here. He also never expected that Junie-chen's vital insect would recover its cultivation through Yijioga's spirit beast pill and snatch away his drop of blood. Then is Master Dongfang successfully detoxified? Yijioga didn't care about bloodthirsty old man's blood essence, she only cared about Master Dongfang's illness. This old man is lucky to have met me, but bloodthirsty old man is very cunning. Even though he's detoxified, his body has suffered great damage. To be completely cured, he needs to use the blood lotus from bloodthirsty sect. Otherwise, he can forget about cultivating in the future. Juni Chen said. Blood lotus? What is that? Yi Jioge asked with a frown. It's a kind of treasure that bloodthirsty ancestor raises in the blood pond. It's rootless and feeds on blood, but it can bloom into the most beautiful lotus flower. It has the effect of purifying blood. Bloodthirsty ancestor cultivates by sucking human blood, so he has a lot of impurities in his body. He relies on this blood lotus to repair them. Juni Chen's eyes were filled with greed when he talked about the blood lotus. It was a good thing. Let's talk about the blood lotus after Master Dongfang wakes up. It was good enough that Yi Jioge had saved his life. Helping him with his cultivation was no longer an option. He'll wake up in an incense stick's time. I'm going to cultivate now. Juni Chen had swallowed Ancestor Bloodthirsty's blood essence, so he had to refine it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. Go, I'll stay here and watch him, Yi Jioge said as he waved his hand. After Juni Chen left, Zi Shang, who had been standing with his eyes closed and pretending to be asleep, suddenly opened his eyes. He stared at Yi Jioge's fingers that were massaging the pink caterpillar and said, "How long are you going to massage it? Don't tell me you're jealous of a bug." Yi Jioge looked at Zi Shang in surprise. This was a female bug. That's right, I'm jealous. Don't forget that your entire body belongs to me. Zi Shang smiled very gently, and his voice was very pleasant to listen to. Don't you have anything to report when I'm in seclusion? Yi Jioge finally understood that there was a hidden meaning in Zi Shang's words. She carefully thought about all the things she had done during this period of time, and immediately remembered the drop of blood that had been swallowed by the fat black rat. My king, I was wrong. I didn't think things would turn out like this. After Yi Jioge honestly explained what had happened, he took out the fat black rat from the bag and placed it in front of Zi Shang. After it ate my drop of blood, it has been unconscious. Take a look and see what's going on. At least you know what's good for you. Zi Shang glanced at Yi Jioge and took the fat black rat. The fat black rat landed on Zi Shang's hand. Its eyes were still closed, but it could clearly feel the approaching danger. Its fat body shrunk even tighter, and it even seemed to be shivering. Zi Shang's palm did not move. A black light was emitted from his palm and enveloped the fat black rat. The fat black rat's black fur underwent a huge change. Its black fur turned into a light silver color, shining with a beautiful radiance. The surface was covered with golden veins, like ripples on the surface of water. The most mystical thing was that there was a small golden flower bud on its head. The day I picked it up, it looked like this. Yi Jioge hurriedly said. Zi Shang did not reply, but the black light in his hand became even hotter. The fat black rat's face revealed a painful expression. The flower bud on its head slowly bloomed, and the stamen of the flower flowed out a golden radiance that covered its entire body. The fat black rat actually turned into a baby with a flower on its head in the golden radiance. It was chubby, tender, and had delicate facial features. It was extremely cute. Yi Jioge forcefully blinked her eyes, thinking that she was seeing things. Very quickly, the black light in Zi Shang's palm disappeared, and the baby also disappeared, turning back into a fat black rat. What's going on? Yi Jioge was a little surprised, and hurriedly asked, was that baby a rat that turned into a spirit, or a child wearing a rat's skin? Neither. Zi Shang shook his head. Was it an illusion? Yi Jioge asked again. Also not. Zi Shang still shook his head. Then what was it? Yi Jioge was anxious. How could there be a fat rat turning into a cute baby in this world? If she did not clarify this matter, how would she be able to order the fat black rat to spit saliva for her in the future? We'll know when it wakes up. Zishang continued to shake his head. No matter how Yi Jioge asked, he would not say. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Anyway, this fat black rat is mine. Yi Jioge snatched the fat black rat from Zishang's hand and stuffed it back into the bag along with the pink caterpillar. At this time, the crown prince's excited shout came from outside the door. What are you guys blocking here for? Quickly let Ben Gong in. If anything happens to Imperial Uncle, can you afford to pay for it? Eldest Miss is inside helping Master Dongfang detoxify the poison. Unrelated people are not allowed to enter, Bai Songling replied coldly. Do you think this empress is an outsider? Are Elder Chen and Elder Shao irrelevant people? The crown prince's voice was as sharp as a hen that had been strangled. He shouted hysterically at the door, Yi Jioge, come out. How dare you call eldest miss by her name? Bai Songling was also angry. Seeing that the situation was about to get out of control, Yi Jioge was still calm. She reached out to feel Master Dongfang's pulse. Seeing that his pulse was stable and there were signs of him waking up at any time, she raised her voice and ordered Bai Songling, let them in. Chapter 210. Yes. Bai Songling glared at the crown prince before calling Luo Tian to the side. The crown prince snorted disdainfully and rushed in first. Elder Chen and Elder Shao hurriedly followed him into the house. Yi Jioge sat on the chair with a smile. She was dressed in a sky blue dress that made her look like a cloud blooming in the clear sky, ethereal and beautiful. Zishang stood quietly behind her. His eyelids were slightly drooping, as if he was asleep. As soon as the crown prince entered, he angrily pointed at Yi Jioge's nose and shouted preemptively, Yi Jioge, how dare you block us outside? Do you want to do something to uncle? Yi Jioge didn't say anything. Even the smile on his face didn't change. Zishang raised his eyes slightly and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and shot a purple light at the crown prince. The crown prince screamed and was sent flying. He hung upside down on a tree. Speak human language when you come in. Don't scare Master Dongfang. Yi Jioge's voice was gentle and dignified as if she didn't know that her guards had pulled the crown prince out. Young mistress is right. Elder Chen and Elder Shao didn't dare to offend Yi Jioge. They nodded and didn't dare to look at the crown prince. Young mistress, is the poison in Master Dongfang's body cured? Elder Chen asked respectfully. Fortunately, I didn't fail you. As soon as Yi Jioge's voice fell, Dongfang Yao's fingers moved slightly. His eyelids twitched and he finally opened his eyes. City Lord, you're finally awake. Elder Shao hurried over to help him up. He was so excited that tears were about to flow. Dongfang Yao raised his hand to stop the agitated Elder Shao. He slowly sat up on the bed and lifted the quilt to get out of bed. City Lord, you've just recovered. You should rest for a while. Elder Chen said anxiously. I'm fine now. Where are Dongfang Jianming and Zhang Peng? Dongfang Yao's complexion was somewhat pale, but the sharp glint in his eyes was like a cold wind blowing past an iceberg, causing one's heart to shiver. The crown prince is outside. Zhang Peng seems to be busy with the alchemy pavilion. I haven't seen him for a long time. Elder Chen replied carefully. Get someone to catch Zhang Peng immediately. Dongfang Yao ordered. Yes. Elder Chen ordered without hesitation. Then, Dongfang Yao coldly ordered, 2 more men, bring that bastard Dongfang Jianming in. Capture. Elder Chen was shocked and exchanged a glance with Elder Shao. Dongfang Jianming was the crown prince. It didn't matter if he scolded him, but if he was caught, it would be a big deal. Therefore, neither of them dared to make a move. I've been sick for a while, so my words don't matter anymore, right? Dongfang Yao's voice wasn't loud, but his aura was very strong. This subordinate wouldn't dare. Old Chen shivered and immediately turned around to instruct the guards of the concoction pavilion. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and take down the crown prince. Yes. The guard of the concocting medicine pavilion did not dare to ask any more questions. He immediately grabbed the crown prince, who was hanging on the tree, and brought him inside. Imperial uncle, what are you doing? The crown prince was greatly shocked and roared at Yi Jioge, did you use an evil technique on Imperial uncle to have him deal with me? Shut up. Dong Fangyao abruptly picked up the teacup on the table and viciously threw it at the crown prince. There was a bang. The teacup splashed on the crown prince's face, leaving a bruise full of blood. Dongfang Jianming, you're a heartless beast. You dare to collude with evil cultivators to murder Miss Yi. You didn't even spare this old man. You deserve to die 10,000 times over. Dongfang Yao gnashed his teeth and cursed. Imperial uncle, I didn't. The crown prince shook his head like a windmill. You still dare to quibble at this point? These past few days, Su Junqing and Xiong Yunhu have been talking about your good deeds at my bedside. Dongfang Yao's words scared the crown prince and made him pale. The crown prince's body softened as he knelt on the ground, wailing and begging. Imperial uncle, I'm wronged. Su Junqing falsely accused me. You don't have to say any more. Our Dongfang family doesn't have a cruel and unscrupulous beast like you. Come, take Dongfang Jianming to the prison and send him back to the capital. After Dongfang Yao said this, he seemed to have aged 10 years. Although he didn't like this nephew, he was still heartbroken to be murdered by him and his disciples. Imperial uncle, I was forced. It was Su Junqing who cast an evil spell on me. I'm innocent. Dongfang Jianming screamed and struggled desperately. The guards didn't dare to approach him. What are you waiting for? Do you want me to do it myself? Dongfang Yao angrily said. The guards didn't dare to hesitate and quickly dragged Dongfang Jianming away. And that Su Junqing, where did he go? Dongfang Yao asked again. Su Junqing went to Red Clay Valley to dig up Lu Yunfei's corpse. Yi Jioge replied. Immediately send someone to find him. We absolutely can't let him escape. Dongfang Yao hated Su Junqing the most now. I'll go. Bai Songling took the initiative to stand out. I'll go too. Yi Yu said. The blood feud between him and Su Junqing was absolutely irreconcilable. If he didn't catch Su Junqing himself, his heart wouldn't be reconciled. Yi Jioge said, Yi Yu, take some people to Red Clay Valley. Big brother Bai, immediately send a message back and tell them to keep an eye on the Su clan. There was such a big commotion in the city last night, I'm worried that Su Junqing might have escaped. Okay, I'll do it right away. Yi Yu and Bai Songling replied in unison. Bai Songling decided to return to the capital overnight to personally keep an eye on the Su clan. Young Lady Yi is truly thoughtful. Dongfang Yao sighed. After this incident, he finally realized that Alchemy City didn't have enough time to deal with such sudden incidents. This gave the heretical cultivators an opportunity. Yi Jioge quickly advised, Grandmaster Dongfang is overpraising me. Your body has just recovered, you should rest well. I'm not tired. If young lady has time, can you accompany this old man to see Zijuan? Dongfang Yao was very polite towards Yi Jioge. He even changed the way he addressed her from little girl to young lady. I also want to see Senior Li. Yi Jioge and Grandmaster Dongfang went to see Li Zijuan. Although Li Zijuan was also poisoned, it was nothing compared to the royal poison in Grandmaster Dongfang's body. The reason why he didn't wake up for so long was because everyone was busy saving Grandmaster Dongfang. No one paid attention to him. Grandmaster Dongfang personally concocted an antidote for Li Zijuan and poured it down his throat. He quickly woke up. Li Zijuan struggled to get up and said, Master, it was Zhang Peng who poisoned us. I know it was him. Dongfang Yao pressed Li Zijuan down and said, Elder Chen's group has already sent people to capture him. He won't be able to escape for long. Master, this disciple really doesn't understand. You treated Zhang Peng so well and even let him manage the alchemy pavilion. Why would he poison us? Li Zijuan had a sad expression. Being stabbed by one's own people was the most painful thing. What else could it be? In the end, it's all about benefits. Dong Fongyao sighed and said to Li Zijuan, we need to learn from this lesson. Yes. Li Zijuan nodded and began to reflect on his mistake. Yi Jioge was bored to the side and wanted to find an excuse to leave. At this time, Luo Tian came in and reported to Yi Jioge, young lady, fourth lady is outside and wishes to see you. Chapter 211. Fourth sister, why are you here? Yi Jioge was a bit confused. He got up and said to Master Dongfang, my sister might be looking for me. I'll go out and take a look. Eldest miss, please go ahead. Dong Fongyao said politely. I'll probably be staying in the alchemy pavilion for a while. If master needs anything, feel free to come find me. Yi Jioge got up and said goodbye before going to see Yi Rui. Yi Rui stood ramrod straight in the garden outside. Her small body wrapped in a black dress made her look even more petite. The spring scenery in the garden could not alleviate the hostility on her small face. Seeing Yi Jioge come out, her eyes curved and she revealed a cute smile. She shouted, big sister. Why are you here? I was going to see you later. Yi Jioge held Yi Rui's hand and looked at her carefully. He said with some heartache, you've lost weight. It's been hard on you. It's not hard on me, it's big sister. Yi Rui obediently shook her head and said, big sister, I'm here to say goodbye. I'll be going back to Shangjing with father later. You don't need to go back to Shangjing with them. Once I'm done here, you can come back with me. You don't need to return to the Yi mansion anymore. Yi Jioge came out to set up his own house and planned to take Yi Rui with him. Unexpectedly, Yi Rui shook her head and said apologetically, sorry big sister, I want to go with father. Fourth sister, there's something you might not know. Yi Jioge paused, sighed, and said, your mother passed away a few days ago. I know. Mother was killed by madam. Yi Rui said calmly. Then you still want to go back with them? Yi Jioge suddenly found that he couldn't understand this little sister. The death of a mother should be the most painful thing in the world, but she was strangely calm. Because of this, I want to go back with them. Su Junqing ran away, the crown prince was captured, and Su Yufeng and Yi Shanshan lost their support. At this time, I have to stay by father's side. Only then can I get revenge for my mother. Yi Rui's calm voice hit a strange and gloomy undercurrent. It was inexplicably frightening. You're still young, you don't need to worry about revenge. Leave it to me. Yi Jioge didn't want Yi Rui to stain her hands with blood at such a young age. Big sister, you've already helped me a lot. I have to get revenge for my mother myself. Yi Rui revealed a faint smile. He bowed to Yi Jioge and left without looking back. His short and thin body exuded an indescribable determination. Yi Jioge sighed. When he returned to his room, he was still worried about Yi Rui. Yi Jioge sighed. When he returned to his room, he was still a bit worried. Don't talk nonsense. She's still young. Yi Jioge frowned. It was already hard enough for her to have a bewitching man as her creditor. She didn't want to have another demoness as her younger sister. That's not up to you. Zishang shrugged. He would never tell Yi Jioge that Yi Rui had already become a little obsessed. With me around, even if she enters the demonic sea, I will pull her out. Yi Jioge rolled his eyes at Zishang. She didn't believe that Yi Rui would become a demonic cultivator at such a young age. She didn't expect that Yi Jioge would suddenly move to Yi Jioge's side. He pretended to be wronged and said, little heartless. You only want to help your sister. Why don't you help me? Help you what? Yi Jioge was confused. Right now, I'm floating in the sea of desire. I'm just waiting for you to help me. Zishang said matter-of-factly. He didn't forget to give Yi Jioga a flirtatious look, driving at the slightest disagreement. Do you really think your sister is easy to bully? Without hesitation, Yi Jioga elbowed him back and said, "Scram. TSK, you little violent." Zi Shang quickly dodged Yi Jioga's attack. If there's a next time, it won't be like this. Yi Jioga narrowed his eyes and said threateningly. If Zi Shang was standing in front of her, she would definitely kick him in the groin. The next time will be a month later. Zi Shang scanned Yi Jioga's slightly flat figure and said suggestively, then you have to work hard. Don't disappoint me. Don't eat it if you're disappointed. Yi Jioga suddenly felt that flat-chested was pretty good. If Zi Shang was hoping that her red bean pie would turn into a cream cake in a month's time, then she should just wash up and sleep. This won't do. Zi Shang seemed to have thought of something. He suddenly reached out and grabbed Yi Jioga's red bean pie and said seriously, you have to rub it more from now on. Yi Jioga expressionlessly lowered his head and looked at Zi Shang's big hand. Then, without hesitation, he reached his hand down and said coldly and heartlessly, if you have the ability, then let's rub it together. She was throwing caution to the wind. Zi Shang once again dodged Yi Jioga's unexpected attack. Then, he looked at Yi Jioga with an expression that said, I'm serious. Otherwise, do you think that with your small body, you can withstand me? Yi Jioga frowned. He suddenly thought of a terrifying thing and blurted out, don't tell me that you have 2 big sticks in your human form. Before Zi Shang could reply, Yi Jioga thought of an even more terrifying thing. Could it be that you want to use your original form? F***CK. You beast. Yi Jioga rejected beasts thousands of times. What are you thinking? Zi Shang felt that he couldn't keep up with Yi Jioga's unrestrained thoughts. No. Seeing that Zi Shang didn't have that thought, Yi Jioga heaved a sigh of relief. I didn't expect little Jioga to have such a heavy taste. Zi Shang squinted his eyes. His eyes flashed with a dangerous light as he said slowly, original form, right? I will let you be satisfied one day. However, the previous half-human half-snake was not his complete form. If little Jioga saw his true form, he would probably be shocked. No need, I'm already satisfied. Yi Jioga shook his head decisively. As she said that, she felt that something was wrong. Why did she feel like she was thirsting for Zi Shang's human form? Alright, little Jioga, you don't have to say what you mean. I understand. Zi Shang winked at Yi Jioga with his peach blossom eyes. Yi Jioga continued to be expressionless. Just as she was thinking about how to suppress this arrogant guy, Zi Shang put away his playful look and said seriously, I want your Vitaline, not to use you as a cultivation furnace. Although the meridians in your body have been cleared, the 9 poison bone shattering is still in your dantian. If you can't open up a dual cultivation channel in advance, your dantian will explode. Hearing this, Yi Jioga understood. Zi Shang didn't sleep with her for free. He gave her benefits. Not only could this benefit greatly increase her cultivation, it could also strengthen her dantian and prevent the 9 poison bone shattering from spreading. Although the 9 poison bone shattering did not explode, Yi Jioga understood that it was a time bomb. Once her cultivation increased, it would explode. Tell me what to do. I will listen to you. Yi Jioga nodded seriously. This matter couldn't be underestimated. Now, strip and lie on the bed. Zi Shang said in a more serious tone. Chapter 212. I'll take it off. Yi Jioga was ready to risk everything this time. She grabbed the belt with both hands and started to take it off boldly. She was so open that Zi Shang felt a little scared. Could it be that he had gone too far and had driven this lass crazy instead? Thinking of this, Zi Shang couldn't help coughing and said seriously, since this is your first experience, it's fine if you don't take it off. Lie down. Yi Jioga didn't say much about Zi Shang's unfaithful attitude. She quickly lay down. Close your eyes and feel it. Zishang covered Yijioga's eyes with his slightly cold hands. In the darkness, Yijioga could only smell a faint fragrance coming from Zishang's body. Unlike the gentleness of a woman, this fragrance was even more invasive. It made one feel a little thirsty, as if they were bathing in fire. Yijioga resisted the urge to lick her lips and quickly corrected her attitude. Even if she wanted to be horny, it couldn't be now. This might be Zishang's conspiracy. She had to resist the temptation. Yijioga calmed down and closed her eyes to feel Zishang's next action. The pair of big hands first put 3 inches below her navel and gently rubbed it. The strength was moderate and very comfortable. Then slowly, he pressed those acupuncture points regularly. It was sore and swollen, but after the sourness passed, it was comfortable. When Yijioga was so comfortable that she almost fell asleep, Zishang's hands gradually came to the acupuncture point on her chest. Suddenly, a sharp pain rushed to her head. Yijioga's body bounced up like a fish on the shore, but Zishang pressed her down hard. Bear it. Zishang's voice was not flirting at all, but unprecedentedly serious. It was the first time that Yijioga saw such an attitude from Zishang. She gritted her teeth and endured it. Zishang's hands were glowing with a faint black and purple light. He pinched Yijioga's chest as if he was kneading dough. Yijioga's face was a little twisted. She only felt that those acupuncture points were sore and swollen as if they were bitten by ants. It was so uncomfortable that her toes couldn't help curling up. Although the whole process didn't last long, Yijioga broke out in a cold sweat, and her back was wet. Her messy black hair was wet with sweat and stuck to her pale forehead. She looked very embarrassed and weak. Are you all right? Zishang didn't expect Yijioga to have such a big reaction. How long do I have to press this? Yijioga lay on the bed like a dead fish. Although the process was very painful, she had to admit that after Zishang rubbed her chest like this, her breathing became much smoother. Your qi and blood are very stagnant. You have to clear them once a day. However, the first time will be more painful, but it will be fine in the future. Zishang didn't tease Yijioga this time. Instead, he gently wiped her sweat with a soft towel. Yijioga nodded. As long as it was useful, she would endure it no matter how painful it was. Do you want to rest? Zishang asked. No need. Although she was very tired, now was not the time to rest. Alchemy City still had many things to do. Yijioga took out the storage bag that he got from Lu Yunfei and took out a piece of human skin. It was Gong Hongyu's skin. Zishang immediately understood Yijioga's intentions. Are you going to give it to Gong Honglei? That's right. I have to give him a chance to take revenge. Yijioga smiled meaningfully. She took the skin and went to find Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei had been healing in the alchemy pavilion. When he saw Yijioga, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed, guilty, and remorseful. He stiffly greeted her, Miss Yi, please sit. Young Master Gong, there is no need to be so polite. I came today to give you something. Yijioga said without beating around the bush. What is it? Gong Honglei frowned. He suddenly felt that something was strange. Yijioga placed the blue bag in front of Gong Honglei. Gong Honglei's face paled. He seemed to have sensed something. His fingers that were opening the bag trembled violently. He couldn't untie the small knot for a long time. As a swordsman, shaking hands was something that should never happen to him. Yijioga sighed, but he didn't help. He just sat to the side and quietly waited. In the end, Gong Honglei opened the bag. A white human skin lay quietly on the soft cloth. The head was facing him. There was a small black mole on the cheek. Gong Honglei felt as if he was struck by lightning. His heart ached and his eyes turned red. He couldn't help but cry. A man doesn't cry easily. It's only when he's deeply hurt. Gong Honglei's parents died early. Only he and his sister Gong Hongyu were left. At that time, they were still young and weren't valued by their family. Their early years were very difficult. It wasn't until he revealed his sword cultivation talent at the age of 10 and entered the Limitless Sword Pavilion as an inner disciple that his sister's status rose. Maybe it was because she was bullied in her early years, but his sister's personality became more and more arrogant. Because he loved his sister, he always protected her. He always felt that although his sister was a little willful, she wasn't an evil person. He didn't expect her to die a horrible death. The dead are dead. Young Master Gong, please restrain your grief. Yi Jioge knew that this sentence was very weak. However, he couldn't find any other words to comfort him. Gong Honglei quickly adjusted his mood. After he carefully put away his sister's human skin, he solemnly cupped his hands and bowed deeply. Miss Yi, I was too reckless before. That's why I listened to the slanderous slander and misunderstood you. Please forgive me, Miss Yi. No problem. Seeing that Gong Honglei was willing to admit his mistake, Yi Jioge's impression of him slightly changed. Thank you. Gong Honglei stood up and suddenly said, I plan to take action tomorrow and go to the Su family in Shangjing. Yi Jioge frowned. It seemed that Gong Honglei had already heard the news of Su Junqing's escape. She pondered for a moment before shaking her head. Su Junqing is sinister and cunning. I don't think he will return to the Su family at this time. If young Master Gong wants revenge, I have a suggestion. Miss Yi, please speak. Gong Honglei solemnly said. His Highness the Crown Prince is also one of the masterminds. Wan Daren was ordered to secretly bring him back to Shangjing. If young Master Gong directly goes to the Emperor to seek justice, I believe the Emperor won't dare to protect the Crown Prince. Yi Jioge said it lightly, but if the Crown Prince heard it, he would definitely go crazy. This was his last chance of survival. Alright, I'll go back to Shangjing with Wan Daren. Gong Honglei had long suspected the Crown Prince, so he agreed without hesitation. Young Master Gong is wise. I'm sure Miss Gong's spirit in heaven will feel gratified. It's getting late, goodbye. Yi Jioge and Gong Honglei exchanged a few more pleasantries before leaving his courtyard. Then, she handed the spiritual roots of blood, flesh, and human skin in Lu Yunfei's Qiankuan bag to Li Zijuan. Just when Yi Jioge was busy, Dong Fangyao secretly wrote a letter to Emperor Xian. Chapter 213. Dong Fangyao explained the ins and outs of the matter in the letter, and then strongly requested Emperor Xian to punish the little bastard, Dongfang Jianming. Finally, he mentioned that the Yunwei Si had sent a great expert called Yi Zi to protect Yi Jioge. He also asked Emperor Xian Wu to rope in this great expert at all costs. Thunder Country's Shangjing, Pure Purity Palace. After reading Dong Fangyao's letter, Emperor Xian Wu sat motionlessly on his throne with a dark expression on his face. The chief eunuch, Li Fud, was waiting on the side. His heart was beating rapidly, and he didn't even dare to breathe heavily. Ever since Gong Honglei forced the Crown Prince back to the capital and demanded that they give the Gong family an explanation, the emperor's face hadn't been clear for a single day. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside, as if someone was arguing outside. Li Fud panicked and wished he could go out and beat the guards and eunuchs to death. Didn't he know what time it was now? He actually dared to make such a fuss. Let's go out and take a look, said Emperor Xian Wu with his eyes closed. Yes. Li Fud wiped his cold sweat and went out. When he came back, his face was even paler. He said in a low voice, "The Empress is outside asking to see you." Didn't I tell her to stay in the Fengyi Palace? Why is she here? Emperor Xian glanced at Li Fud and asked. It's this old servant's arrangements that were not good. Your Majesty, please punish me. Li Fud immediately knelt down in fear and trepidation. Actually, it could not be said that his arrangements were unfavorable. Although the crown prince had been placed under house arrest, Emperor Xian did not dare to announce that he had colluded with an evil cultivator. Instead, he had been looking for a suitable accusation. He did not strip the empress of her title, only placing her under house arrest in Fengyi Palace, having a few palace maids and eunuchs watch over her. Normally, these palace maids and eunuchs would be enough. Nevertheless, the empress was a spiritualist, after all. She had been nourished by various spiritual pills all these years, so her cultivation base was still there. After the incident with the crown prince, she had been asking to see the emperor. Seeing that no one was paying attention to her, she actually dashed out of the Fengyi Palace like a madman. Only when the palace maids and eunuchs chased after her did she let out an uproar. Take her back and feed her some spirit-dispersing pills. As for those trash from the Phoenix Ritual Palace, do as you see fit. Emperor Xianwu closed his eyes again as if he did not know that the spirit-dispersing pill was fatal to a spiritualist. Yes. When Li Fu heard this, he knew that the emperor really had no feelings for the empress. He quickly went out to give the order, and the noise soon stopped. The once glorious empress was dragged back to the Fengyi Palace and forced to drink a spirit-dispersing pill. In the future, it would be difficult for her to even walk, much less come out to cause trouble. Li Fu quickly returned. He bowed beside Emperor Xianwu, not even daring to breathe loudly. The entire Palace of Purity was as quiet as a graveyard. Emperor Xianwu closed his eyes and casually asked, "How's the situation with the Su family?" Li Fu's cold sweat broke out even more. He braced himself and said, "Elder Su is still in a coma. Su Junqing didn't come back." Emperor Xianwu's expression did not change. He opened his eyes and his sharp gaze fell on the letter that Dong Fangyao had sent. After a moment of silence, he suddenly asked, "What's going on with this Yi Zhouge?" "I don't know either, but I heard that the imperial consort and Prince Dongling are friends with Miss Yi," Li Fu replied carefully. Although he didn't get to see Dong Fangyao's letter, everyone knew about the recent events in Alchemy City. Yi Zhouge went from an unforgivable evil cultivator leader to a hero who fought against evil cultivators and saved Alchemy City. This reversal caused an uproar in the entire Thunder Country. Especially when Yi Yuxuan made a statement to support the daughter he chased out of the family and begged for her to change her mind, it made people believe that this was a misunderstanding. In a short period of time, Yi Zhouge's reputation reached its peak. Imperial consort Shi and Dongfang Ke being friends with her was definitely a great thing for the Dongfang family, whose reputation was in jeopardy. Ke is still farsighted. Emperor Xianwu sighed. He had already made a decision. Li Fu saw the emperor's expression and knew that the sky in the capital was about to change. At this time, Yi Zhouge had finished her business in Alchemy City and planned to return to the capital. She didn't expect Dong Fangyao to suddenly announce that she was the champion of the competition and give her the 10,000 gold cauldron. "The competition isn't over yet. I don't deserve this award." Yi Zhouge shook her head. No matter how greedy she was, she wouldn't accept such a thing. This was decided by the participating alchemists. If it wasn't for the interruption of the competition, you would have been the champion. Dong Fangyao was speaking the truth. Among the participants, no one's alchemy skills were better than Yi Zhouge's. Yi Zhouge refused in every way possible, but Dong Fangyao insisted on his own opinion. He even said that the cauldron was already Yi Zhouge's and that if she didn't want it, he would just throw it away. Yi Zhouge had no choice but to accept. She converted the cauldron into silver and divided it equally among the family members of the alchemists who were killed by the evil cultivator. Dong Fangyao praised her. He also converted the other prizes prepared for the competition into silver and distributed them to the people who were accidentally injured by the evil cultivator. These were originally Yi Zhouge's unintentional actions, but she didn't expect them to bring her righteous reputation. Even the damaged image of Alchemy City was restored. Just as Yi Zhouge was preparing to return to the capital, Bai Songling sent a letter. Why did Elder Su suddenly disappear? Yi Zhouge looked at Zi Shang in confusion after reading the letter. Could it be that there was a problem with his demon energy seal? Zishang shook his head. Without him personally removing the seal, the old man wouldn't wake up. Could it be that Su Junqing saved his grandfather? Luo Tian asked from the side. Impossible. Elder Su is a burden right now. Su Junqing won't gain anything by taking him away, unless Su Junqing has other uses. Yi Jiuge's expression changed when he thought of this possibility. Luo Tian also thought of this possibility and asked in shock, "You mean Su Junqing wants to use his grandfather to cultivate?" Although bloodthirst sect used human blood to cultivate, it was still rare to see beasts who used their own family members to cultivate. It's very possible. Yi Jiuge's heart sank. During this time, Su Junqing had searched for all kinds of spirit doctors, but none of them could cure the old man's strange illness. It was normal for him to want to use the old man as trash. Su Junqing has always been ruthless. It's not strange for him to do something like this. Yi Yu gritted his teeth. Back then, when his sister, Yi Yunji, was pregnant with Su Junqing's child, he was the one who personally gave it to the bloodthirst sect. Send a letter back. We must find Su Junqing. We can't let him take Elder Su back to bloodthirst sect, Yi Jiuge said seriously. Yi Jiuge said solemnly. If bloodthirsty ancestor ate old man Su, he might really succeed in leveling up. That would be very bad. Chapter 214. Song Ling and Zi Yang have sent people to find him. But Shang Jing's security is so tight that Su Junqing managed to find a loophole. It'll be harder to catch him now. Luo Tian wasn't optimistic. Yi Jiuge thought for a while and asked Luo Tian, "Can you raise a parasite that can track evil energy?" "I can't. Only the young master can raise parasites. But he's in seclusion right now. He'll probably come out in 2 days." Luo Tian shook his head. Bloodthirsty's blood essence wasn't that easy to refine. Wait for him here. When he comes out, ask him to raise the tracking parasite. Yi Jiuge quickly made up his mind and said, "We'll return to Shang Jing first." Yes. Luo Tian nodded and decided to help the young master refine the blood essence faster. Blood Cloud Peak, 3,000 miles away from Shang Jing. Bloodthirsty's ancestor was sleeping on a big redwood bed with his eyes closed. Four beautiful and graceful blood slaves dressed in thin gauze surrounded him and served him. 2 beautiful and charming blood slaves gently massaged his legs. The other 2 older blood slaves were holding heavy feather fans to fan forefather Bloodthirsty. The blood slave on the left had a red mole between her eyebrows. She was Yi Yu's sister, Yi Yunji. Recently, many young and beautiful blood slaves had come. The ancestor quickly got tired of her. If Lu Yunfei hadn't asked for her skin before she left, she would have been sent to the blood cave to become a cauldron. Today, she had earned the right to fan and serve him because of her obedient behavior. The cave was silent except for the sound of the fans flapping in the wind. Bloodthirsty's ancestor closed his eyes. His wrinkled face looked like a shrunken orange. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, and a sinister light shot out from them. "Ancestor." The 2 blood slaves massaging his legs lifted their heads in confusion. They didn't expect Bloodthirsty to kick them. With a loud bang, the 2 blood thralls were torn into pieces, flesh and blood splattering everywhere. Yi Yunji knelt on the ground immediately, not daring to say a word. "Ancestor, spare me," the other blood slave begged for mercy with tears on her face. The gauze on her body slid down, revealing a large area of her white skin. She looked very seductive. Bloodthirsty forefather didn't even look at her because he was so mad. His lifeblood essence had actually been refined by someone else. This was absolutely a great humiliation to him. At this time, the thin monkey-like man came in a panic and reported, "Old ancestor, it's not good. Senior brother Xiong's soul lamp has also extinguished. A bunch of trash." Bloodthirsty's forefather was so enraged that he slapped the charming blood slave to death. Yi Yunji crouched even lower and gave Skinny Monkey a pitiful look. The thin monkey-like man recognized that Yi Yunji wasn't in a good situation. He hurried to talk to Bloodthirsty's forefather. Forefather, although senior brother Xiong is dead, Su Junqing's soul lamp is still lit. When Yi Yunji heard that Su Junqing was still alive, her eyes immediately emitted an extremely resentful light. She didn't expect that the heartless man was still alive. This was for the best. One day, she would dismember Su Junqing's body into 1,000 pieces. Yi Yunji pressed her forehead to the ground and used all her strength to suppress her excitement. Everyone else is dead, only he is still alive. He is quite powerful. As expected, Bloodthirsty's forefather shifted his attention. He squinted and asked, "Are there any of our people in Shangjing?" "Forefather, there is one in the Yi mansion and 2 in the palace," the thin monkey-like man answered respectfully. "How come there are only a few people? What can 3 accomplish?" Bloodthirsty's forefather frowned. The wrinkles between his brows were so deep that they looked like they were carved by a knife. "Forefather, you are wise. Right now, the people in Shangjing are all experienced. We can use them," the thin monkey-like man said carefully. "Okay," Bloodthirsty's forefather nodded and ordered, "Send someone to Shangjing. Tell them to investigate the truth. Be especially careful of that kid Su Junqing." Bloodthirsty's forefather paused and then quickly changed his words. "No, if you see him, bring him back immediately. I want to interrogate him personally." "Yes," the thin monkey-like man exhaled in relief. This time, 3 people died in this mission. All of them were experts of the sect. Right now, everyone in the sect was in danger. No one dared to make a sound as they were afraid of being sent out. Fortunately, the forefather didn't say anything. "All of you can leave." Bloodthirsty's forefather waved his hand tiredly. When the thin monkey-like man bowed and retreated, he imperceptibly waved his hand at Yi Yunji. Yi Yunji also quietly retreated with the thin monkey-like man. After leaving the forefather's cave mansion, the thin monkey-like man finally exhaled in relief. He wiped his sweat and said to Yi Yunji with relief, "I thought that arranging for you to fan the forefather would be a good job. I didn't think that this would be a disaster. You're lucky. Thank you, brother Thin Monkey. Otherwise, I would have died today." Yi Yunji's pretty face was full of gratitude. "There's no need to thank me between us," the thin monkey-like man lowered his voice. The skinny monkey-like man lowered his voice and said, "The sect isn't peaceful right now, so be careful during this period of time. Stay within the Flower Palace and try your best not to come out. I'll help you clear the way, and I won't make you serve the ancestor in the near future. I will listen to you, brother Thin Monkey." Yi Yunji's voice was even softer. Her voice was very pleasant. It wasn't sweet or sticky, but it was clear and cold. Coupled with her gentle expression, it made people's hearts itch. Chapter 215. Bloodthirsty sect's dark passageways had only 2 oil lamps at the top of the cave at the corner, flickering with a dim light. Yi Yunji tried her best to hide in the shadows and silently walked toward 100 Flower Palace. After passing through a passageway, she met a few bloodthirsty sect disciples who had just returned from training. All of them looked at her curvaceous body under the red chiffon with lewd and explicit eyes. Yi Yunji turned a blind eye to this and continued walking forward. The forefather was very protective of his food. The blood slaves of 100 Flower Palace all had blood soul flowers. The fragrance of this blood soul flower was very special and easy to stick to. Anyone who dared to touch the forefather's blood slaves would be stained with the smell of the blood soul flower and die a horrible death. However, the forefather always liked the new and hated the old. After he was tired of playing, he would pull out the blood soul flower and throw the dead blood slaves into the blood cave for others to enjoy. The disciples had coveted Yi Yunji for a long time and laughed. This blood slave has been with the forefather for a long time, she must be very good in bed. TCH, the forefather got tired of her a long time ago. If he didn't promise to give her skin to Lu Yunfei, she would have been sent to the blood cave long ago. Little beauty, I advise you to learn how to sleep with 100 men in one night. Us brothers can't wait. 100 men isn't enough. I heard someone brought a blood beast and wants to merge with it to taste her. Fuck, the women they've played with are all rotten. What are we going to do? Don't worry, they're definitely staying behind to reserve the place. Ha ha ha, that's more like it. Yi Yunji ignored the malicious words of the bloodthirsty sect disciples and quickened her pace back to 100 Flower Palace. The 100 Flowers Palace sounded very beautiful, but it was actually just a slightly larger cave. Long and narrow chambers were chiseled on top and hung a broken curtain to form their residence. Hearing the sound of Yi Yunji's return, pale faces popped out from behind the broken curtain of the small chamber. The blood slaves here were all women with spirit energy. Bloodthirsty sect's forefather had planted blood soul flowers on them, and all of their spirit energy had melted into their blood. This blood soul flower was very magical. It would form a protective light around their bodies, making them invulnerable to weapons and poisons. It was impossible for them to commit suicide. Bloodthirsty sect's forefather was extremely cruel to those who wanted to commit suicide. The new blood slaves had seen it a few times and no longer wanted to commit suicide. They could only silently wait for death. Yi Yunji was the oldest and lived in the highest chamber. Following the rope that had fallen from the side, she stepped on the steps that were carved out of the cave wall and climbed up to her own cave. The chamber was very narrow and could only allow one person to turn around. Apart from a thin bedding, there was nothing else inside. She had nothing inside except for a thin mattress. Of the room. After making sure that no one was paying attention, she took out the blood pill that Skinny Monkey had given her. This blood pill was a pill unique to the bloodthirsty sect. It was refined using various medicinal herbs mixed with blood essence, and it could increase the cultivation of the bloodthirsty sect disciples. Forefather Bloodthirsty often sucked the blood of the blood slaves. After a long time, their faces became dry and dull. At this moment, they weren't far from the blood cave. Skinny sect couldn't save her, so he thought of this method. He wanted her to take a blood pill to preserve her appearance. At least, she wouldn't be thrown out by the forefather. Skinny sect didn't expect that Yi Yunji's Yi family cultivation method was a dark art. This blood pill could not only preserve her appearance, but also allow her to steal a lot of spirit energy from the blood soul flowers. Yi Yunji started to cultivate after swallowing the blood pill. Rays of light started from her dantian and grew stronger after passing through several large meridians. Finally, they entered the inside of her right arm and stopped moving. After Yi Yunji finished cultivating, she gently rubbed the inside of her right arm. There was a lot of light gathered there, enough for her to activate the Yi family's concealment technique and leave. But she wasn't in a hurry. She had learned about the internal routes of Blood Cloud Peak through Skinny Sect. Now, she just had to wait for the right opportunity. If possible, she hoped to teach Bloodthirsty Sect a painful lesson for the hardships she had suffered in the past few days. There was only one chance. She had to be more patient. Yi Yunji adjusted her breathing and continued to meditate. Thunder Country's Shangjing, East Main Street 19, an imposing mansion. Under the command of Mother Qing, the capital magistrate's soldiers were hanging the plaque, Yi Mansion, bestowed by the emperor. It was such a good day, but Yi Jiuge was in seclusion with Zi Shang. Although it was said to be seclusion, it was actually to avoid the warm hospitality of the great clans and the emperor. When Master Yun sent a top expert to guard Yi Jiuge, the news had already spread throughout Thunder Country. Everyone was interested in this expert. They also wanted to build a good relationship with Yi Jiuge, this independent spirit alchemist with a bright future. Invitations flew over like snowflakes. Even noble consort Shi and Dongfang Ke wanted to meet her in private. It was said that Emperor Xianwu had even drafted an imperial edict to summon her to the palace at any time. If Zishang was really a guard sent by his grandfather, Yi Jioge could bring him out for a walk. But this guy was a demon. A shameless demon that complained every day about not having enough demon energy and wanted to be kissed and touched. Yi Jioge didn't have the confidence to bring this guy out for a walk, much less bring him into the palace. There were still many experts in Shangjing. If she was accidentally seen through, then all her previous efforts would be wasted. So Yi Jioge decided to go all out. She used the excuse that she had a great enlightenment in cultivation to go into seclusion to break through. But this wasn't entirely an excuse. After experiencing a few traps in Alchemy City, she was fully aware that her martial strength wasn't enough. If Zishang hadn't woken up in time to kill Xiong Yunhu, everyone in the Alchemy Pavilion would have died. During this time, Zishang had been massaging her meridians. It really deepened her spirit energy and strengthened the white bone flame. So Zishang suggested that she use the white bone flame to nourish the thunder snake illusionary whip so that it could fuse better with the bone essence it obtained from the white bone cave. While Yi Jioge was in seclusion, the situation in Shangjing was turbulent. Because of Yi Jioge's bad conduct, the crown prince was demoted to a commoner. It was said that he died not long after. The empress missed the crown prince too much. In her sorrow and despair, she actually committed suicide to follow him. A country couldn't be without a ruler. The crown prince was the same. So Emperor Xian Wu announced to the world that Dongfang Ke would be the new crown prince and enter the East Palace. Originally, Emperor Xian Wu wanted to make imperial consort Shi the empress. Unexpectedly, imperial consort Shi declined. Instead, she suggested that Dongfang Ke's birth mother, imperial noble consort Bai Linglong, be posthumously named the benevolent empress. Emperor Xian Wu agreed. After Bai Linglong was posthumously named the benevolent empress, imperial noble consort she was promoted to imperial noble consort. This news spread throughout the entire Thunder Country. Even though Yi Jioge was in seclusion, she still heard about it. All of this was within her expectations. The crown prince and empress had brought about their own destruction. They could have cooperated with anyone, but they actually cooperated with evil cultivators. What she was worried about now was that she couldn't always be in seclusion. She had to think of a way to deal with those people who were inquiring about Zishang. Chapter 216. Yi Jioge's table was piled up like a hill of invitations, but she didn't look at them. After thinking for a while, she had made a decision to go out and see imperial concubine Shi first. No, now she should call her imperial concubine Shi. Yi Jioge felt that as a woman, it was better to go to see imperial concubine Shi first than to see Xian Wu emperor directly. However, imperial concubine Shi was very popular now. She didn't know if there was any change compared to before. After Yi Jioge decided, she went to the alchemy room to refine a bottle of beauty pills and prepared to go out. After being in seclusion for so many days, I can finally go out. Zishang stretched his body. Yi Jioge was in seclusion, so he, as her personal guard, naturally had to come in and guide her. After going out, be honest and don't flirt with me. Yi Jioge had a headache when she saw Zishang's evil appearance. She had suggested Zishang to change to an ordinary face before, but he didn't. Hee, how can those common flowers enter this sovereign's eyes? This sovereign loves you. Zishang hugged Yi Jioge and kissed her on the face. After going out, be more respectful. Yi Jioge looked indifferent and let him kiss her without moving. During this time, she had figured out a way to deal with Zishang. As long as she was ruthless, cold, and put down her bottom line, Zishang would restrain himself. Yes. Sure enough, when Zishang saw Yi Jioge's indifferent face, he immediately became honest. Yi Jioge opened the door and went out. She saw Pearl guarding outside. These days, Yu Dai and Pearl had been guarding outside, waiting for Yi Jioge's orders. Has the plaque given by the emperor been hung up? What happened in the mansion recently? Yi Jioge asked as she walked. Mother Qing has asked the people of the governor's office to hang it up. Pearl followed Yi Jioga and reported what happened in the mansion. They left Yi Mansion to set up their own house. There were only maids and old women from Purple Forest Garden in the mansion. However, Yi Jioga announced that she would go into seclusion at this time. Fortunately, Mother Qing had been in contact with the old servants of the Yun family these years. Relying on those old servants, Yi Mansion was finally supported. Even when the emperor sent someone to deliver the imperial plaque, it was Mother Qing who braced herself to receive it. Congratulations, young miss, for successfully advancing. A white-haired, serious-looking old man respectfully bowed to Yi Jioga. This was also an old man from the Yun residence, Hua Zhenwei. Back then, Yun Tianwei had chosen this position for Yun Jiaojiao. His cultivation was profound and he was only one step away from becoming a spirit master. After Yun Jiaojiao died, Hua Zhenwei was sent out by Yi Yuxuan to carry out a mission. He didn't expect this mission to be a trap set up by his enemies. After he was plotted against, his cultivation base plummeted. Disheartened, he concealed his identity and lived in seclusion in the countryside. It was Mother Qing who personally picked him up. After Yi Jioga healed his internal injuries and restored his cultivation, he appointed him as the Yi residence's chief steward. After Yi Jioga went into seclusion, the Yi family was able to be so peaceful, and it was all thanks to Elder Hua. Old Hua, please help me call Mother Qing, I have something to ask her. Yi Jioga politely ordered. I'll go now. Elder Hua quickly brought Mother Qing over. Has there been any movement from the Yi family recently? Yi Jioga picked up the teacup and took a sip. Replying to eldest miss, after the Su family fell, the master did not like Su Yufeng and her mother very much. Some time ago, he used the excuse of sending Yi Shanshan to learn martial arts, but in fact, he gave her to the Dan Yang Sex Ling Yun ancestor as a concubine in exchange for a rank 5 spirit herb, purple cloud root. Mother Qing said with disdain. I remember that Ling Yun ancestor is already more than 200 years old. Yi Jioga was a little surprised. Yi Shanshan was only 17 years old. It was too exaggerated to be a concubine for an old man who was her grandfather's age. Don't you know the master's temper? There's nothing he can't do. Mother Qing sneered, her face full of disdain. Although she didn't like Yi Shanshan, a good virgin was taken by her own father to exchange for a spirit herb. This kind of behavior was despicable. Yi Jioga also sighed. Thinking about Yi Shanshan's arrogant and rude appearance, now she had to serve an old man. It was really not an ordinary kind of miserable. However, this was also what she deserved. Yi Jioga would not sympathize with her, so he changed the topic. How is fourth sister now? She was most concerned about this sister. Fourth miss is now very favored by the master, but she is a little too close to seventh concubine. When Mother Qing said this, she suddenly frowned. Keep an eye on seventh concubine. If she has any unusual movements, immediately report to me. When she was in the Yi mansion, she had some doubts about the relationship between seventh concubine and the empress. Unfortunately, she did not find any evidence. Now that the empress had fallen, seventh concubine suddenly approached Yi Rui. Maybe she had some plans. Eldest miss, rest assured. This old servant has already sent people to keep an eye on her. Mother Qing did not have any good impression of seventh concubine. She had already arranged for people to keep an eye on her. Is there anything else in the mansion? Yi Jioga asked again. She had just established her own family and immediately went into seclusion. Mother Qing was managing the mansion from top to bottom. There were still many things that she had not figured out. Our mansion has a small population, so there is no big problem. It is just that there are people coming to visit the mansion every day. Eldest miss, you can't just hide like this. Mother Qing said with a bitter face. In the past, she had always hoped that eldest miss could continue the glory of the Yun family and become the most famous noble lady in Shangjing. Now that she had achieved her goal, she was worried again. With so many people, it would be difficult to meet anyone. In the end, the one who was tired was her eldest miss. Don't worry about those people. I am going to the palace to see Imperial Concubine Shi tomorrow. Help me wrap up this bottle of beauty pills. Yi Jioge took out a delicate white jade bottle from his Qianquan bag. Yes. Mother Qing took the white jade bottle and asked hesitantly, do you need to send a message to the palace? It didn't seem very good to enter the palace without informing them. No need, so as not to cause more trouble. Yi Jioge shook his head. She had the palace token left by Imperial Concubine Shi in her hand. She could enter at any time. Then tomorrow, this old servant will accompany you. Mother Qing said and went to make arrangements. Yi Jioge rested for the night. The next morning, she took Mother Qing to the palace in a carriage to see the Imperial Concubine. The guard captain looked at her palace token and secretly looked at her a few times. He did not ask much and let her in. If it was in the past, even with this palace token, there would be a lot of questioning. But now, Yi Jioge had become famous because of the incident in Alchemy City. The guards in the palace recognized her and did not dare to offend her. Yi Jioge brought Mother Qing to Splendid Palace. From afar, she saw Aunt Hongxiu waiting at the door. She smiled and greeted, eldest miss, you didn't tell us in advance that you were going to enter the palace. This servant was shocked when I received the news. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.